taxes or something, who knows?
So I didn't even hear what you said, Randy.
I just saying.
On the
that
fireworks.
This year that people, usually we have budget shoppers that come in and write prices down and check prices.
Really?
Yeah, and didn't see any of that this year.
But how far do they have to travel into the next
Well,
place that sells?
Newton, Wichita, Florence, Marion.
This conference will now be recorded.
It's 9 o'clock.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Look at this. First thing in the morning, we got public comment, and we got somebody from the public.
We do? Guess my comment's gonna be, we've successfully went a whole year since the flood on the 4th of July a year ago. There are still several, if not many, spots where the water went over the road out our neck of the woods. Haven't been fixed or addressed yet. I think it's about time, so in case anybody else ain't aware of it. Got a lot of spots that for a year we've slowed down to 5 or 10 miles to go across them. The holes have been watered out deeper. A little disappointed that something, I think, especially on a safety issue, can't be addressed yet in a year's time. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. All right. No other members of the public is here. I don't see anything in the chat box. No bubble.
No, there's nothing.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna move on to administrative business.
Okay. In your packet, you had some information, Department on Aging, Senior Citizens of Marion County, and then you also had some information from K-CAMP. If you would like to nominate anyone to their board, this gives you the information on how to do that.
Is there anybody that's interested in that? I'm not gonna nominate anybody that doesn't have an interest.
Right, and that can be,
It doesn't have to be a commissioner per se.
no. And the information on that process and everything is on your website and in the footer, so.
So even though election year right now, it's kind of uncertain to even stick your neck out if you're a
Right.
commissioner.
Right. I don't know, I think we're pretty new to it right now. It's better to, maybe something we dive off into in the future. I don't know. Unless you,
Well, I'm on the board of several members of that board, not K-CAMP, but other boards where those members are. It's very interesting. But anyway.
okay. Salary sheet?
I'll have to see if there are some in the other room, I think there are.
Okay. And approval early check, looks like the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Made a purchase on one of their line items that they had budgeted. Amount of $32,119. See that the item was in their budget, so I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion to approve the amount of $119 early check.
I'll second.
Second by Diane. All those, or any other discussion?
I'd just like to encourage the sheriff department to even though the vehicle was purchased locally, warranty work has to be done out of the county. So,
I didn't hear the last part of what you
even
said.
though it was purchased in the county,
Mhm.
Midway Motors in Hillsborough, the warranty work has to be done in McPherson.
Oh.
Whereas if we bought from Hillsborough, it'd be done in Hillsborough.
Dodge products.
Anything Dodge has to go to McPherson.
Wonder why that still is.
Oh.
I don't think.
Any other discussion?
Yes, I don't think you voted.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I think each brand of car has special computer programs and stuff.
No, the reason why it started is when they brought Wrights out, when Wrights shut out. It couldn't be, a lot of it couldn't be bought there because of Chrysler product, or dealership, so. I just figured maybe after 4 or 5 years of a dealership being gone, that sort of went away. That their
I think it's because there's an ongoing class action lawsuit from way back.
And there could be, yeah, there very well could be, yeah, yeah. I can understand that. Diane, Joe straight rerun it, or
Back
she
to,
up this year? Do you know?
Salary sheets.
Well, she's up for election and she does have competition, so I'm not sure.
She's running again.
Yeah, she is running again.
So, just like we have a salary sheet for Road and Bridge, Blacktop, Max Sabota, from 0 to 10, basically new time, or new part-time seasonal. $10 an hour. And so, got a salary change for election, Marcy Hospital letter, to $12 for seasonal, part-time election clerk,
Does that say 1250?
$12.50.
How does that affect your full-time job? Coming over in hours?
What Marcy's going to do is simply work election night, running the county machine.
Okay,
So it's just for one night.
okay. I looking at it as a lot of hours and how.
You need to
Yeah,
sign that.
no, it won't be, it will be.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
I actually have gotten my 2 previous election clerks to come back for election night.
Okay.
And then you'll have another one that's for Lindsay.
Lindsay Buckby.
Okay, and she is actually, she used to work here, but now she's working in another business in town.
Yeah.
And she's working part-time evenings, weekends, and she will be also working election night.
Cool, cool.
And so, yeah, that's an election for Lindsay Buckby at $12.50 an hour, part-time election clerk, seasonal.
You're coming back, Ken. I'll sign this one. Hey, I'll get this one.
Okay, the attorney's office, Caitlin Christensen, from $10.35 an hour to $24.86 a month. Part-time
Has that been voted on?
I believe you all voted on the position to go to allow them to hire a full-time.
We just needed to work out the job detail.
The job description, which is also on your
We
agenda.
voted on it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Part-time to full-time legal assistant,
What was the monthly on that again?
$24.86 a month.
just so you know, on the, that's $14.34 an hour, and I believe that was starting at the bottom of the pay band for the county attorney, secretary position.
So with that last one, we need to review and approve the job description, which is something she's already doing, but just makes it official.
No, the vote made it official. If we took one item, I thought it was the job description first.
Everybody had a chance to review the county attorney legal assistant job description. Any questions or concerns with it?
I was just going by, I thought you all voted to approve the position. I mean, if you want me to go back and double check that.
It'd be with the, I mean, I don't know,
It wouldn't hurt to double check.
just asking.
I mean, I know that you approved, him going outside the nepotism policy in that department.
Remember that part of
For
it,
this
yeah.
position.
Just
And
as-
that, we would, review the job description and provide one for approval. So,
Right. I was thinking that was first before you put a job on. If there's a vote, there's a vote.
well, now that I
Right.
think of it, I guess I probably would feel more comfortable before I say, yes, you approved it, by going back and just verifying, but
Yeah.
I feel like I remember that you approved it, so.
I thought so, but
Yeah, it might have, yeah, I just,
Yeah,
the
I
hang-up,
thought
the hang-up
I
was the
know.
we
nepotism.
sent him out of here with approval for that, but needed a job description.
The hang-up was the nepotism on it, I know that. We had to clear that up. But as far as the job description, does anybody have any issues with that?
I would make a motion to approve the job description.
Gotta have the clerk.
Okay, to wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm just getting everybody to collect their thoughts before.
Okay. If you'd like me to hold that salary sheet until we can verify what your previous action was, I can do that. And I think that we have, the job description that was in your packet has been proofread, and a few spelling things have been changed on it. So I just got the actual final. It was just for grammar and spelling.
Brad looked at that.
He typically doesn't look at our job descriptions, but I can have him do that if you want
I mean,
that.
just because it's a legal position, I don't know. It's up to the commission, if they're comfortable.
Yeah, I didn't have him review it because that's not our general process on job descriptions.
I personally don't think it's necessary on a job description.
they know what they need, they know what they want.
Okay.
Well, they know what they want, whether they need it or not, that's the question.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the job description for the county attorney's
Legal assistant.
new legal assistant.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? 4-1.
Okay, so I'll just if the board's okay with that, I'll hold that salary sheet and just verify previous action. And I'll let you know if we haven't actually voted. Okay. Okay. In your packet, there is a Marion County incident response plan. And so we had an incident a while back where we had a very small data breach, which was handled through our insurance, and I did make the board aware of it at the time. Everything was handled appropriately, and however, we had an unrelated party file a complaint. They found out about it, filed a complaint with the Attorney General. And so they have gone through, and it's my understanding that they just want us to have some sort of a written policy in place, because that is something that we haven't had a written policy on. So this particular one came from K-Camp. This is part of their resources that Mr. Sharp was talking about last week. And so I did send this to our IT person, also to county attorney and county counselor for review. I haven't heard back from either attorney, but I have heard back from IT, and they were comfortable with what it says. So basically, this is, I put a note on here what PII is, because it's abbreviated in here but never spelled out. What that means is personal identifiable information. So I would want to spell that out the first time before it's abbreviated afterward. And then I don't know if any of you had a chance to read through that policy. Once we hear back from legal, we would need an official adoption of the policy. And since we haven't heard back from them, I wouldn't necessarily think that you would want to do it today, but we probably need to do it next week.
So, put that back on the agenda for next week. Then.
Yeah.
Okay. Need to take up an issue with our allowing the public in and readdress our seating arrangement, and if they can't social distance, to wear a mask and in here and out in the hallways.
Well, I just wanted to bring up, you know, you had taken action to extend our current arrangement of a small area in here, space, you know, with spacing, but also having the viewing area in the hallway. But that's gonna cause a problem beginning next week, because we will start early voting. And I typically have used that hallway for poll booths and for people to come in and vote. And so we're gonna need to consider maybe a different plan of action for your viewing area, if you wanna continue that. Or consider doing away with the viewing area. If you do put more seats in here, I mean, obviously right now the commissioners are not social distanced from each other. So according to guidance, that's a situation where a mask would be recommended. It's just a matter of what you want to set for in this room, whether you want to require masks in here for people if we put all the chairs back, whatever you want to do. But the board needs to make a decision on that if you will ever discuss it. I will, next Monday would be the last Monday that I won't be the hallway.
And it wouldn't work to move the TV downstairs in that hallway.
I don't know if it would or not.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's another area we could use for viewing
But the only one.
that wouldn't impede any of the voting process.
What's upstairs or the courtroom?
Pardon me?
The problem with courtroom is Mondays usually, since they've opened court back up, they kinda got.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah,
Upstairs.
no, I would definitely
Okay.
not recommend doing, attempting to do anything with the judicial floor at all.
I mean, I feel that no more people that have been watching it, we could do away with it for the next 3 weeks during election time.
In the hall.
In the hallway, here on this the main levels.
What if you start getting 20 people again?
Then we can set it back up quickly.
We very rarely get 20.
Well,
I mean, unless you have a
if
very
you
hot
look at what we
topic.
saw last year, it was getting
Well,
pretty close.
On some hot topic.
No, I'm not saying it
yes.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this for 3 weeks during the election cycle.
We have, Tina's made some arrangements in here to allow more seating, so we can fit 4 additional people in here now. So, I don't know how many people have been out there in the hallway watching.
No one.
Zilch.
Nobody likes it. They don't like
Okay,
it.
Yeah, they don't like it at all.
so,
Guess we can try it.
It's kind of been a bad experiment that failed, I guess.
you don't know unless you try it,
Yeah.
so.
I like this, and we might be able to get a couple more chairs in, depending.
You know, we're just measuring.
I mean,
out
I think
some
that's
more.
fine, but what if you have 10 people show up? What are you gonna tell them?
I don't know.
You
because-
5 can come in and you 5 can't?
Bring their laptops and sit outside.
Well,
You can allow them in the room if you recommend, I put masks at the door and hand sanitizer. The mask situation, you can mandate within certain areas. They are mandating masks upstairs, in the district court. So if you're going up there, you will wear a mask.
We can set a precedent.
In
if we
this-
Mandate a mask. after
Well,
we
in
just voted.
this room, you can't social distance, so that's one option if you wanna allow more people in. And I'm not recommending that, I mean, I'm just trying to give you information.
I find it ironic that here we sit as commissioners, and as we all know, we're not social distanced, and we're not wearing masks, and then we're gonna turn around and mandate it to others? I have a problem with that too, and that's one of the big things that I've heard from, well, I wasn't here that one meeting, but somebody made that same comment, and
Well, what
then
I'm
I
saying.
heard it thereafter, so.
What I mean too
Randy's
is,
wearing the mask.
if the commission does mandate masks in here, then you would all need to follow that.
And I wouldn't go along with that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with wearing a mask, it's for everybody's safety.
Yeah, I don't have a problem wearing a mask, but I struggle with the mandate
Me
of
too.
masks. I mean, that's my key thing, is I don't mind wearing a mask at all, but I don't think I should force that on anybody.
Exactly.
And am I understanding the general wheels, whoever they are, to be that they're trying to make this an airborne disease now? Is that what they're trying to do?
And you know who that is, don't you?
Well, I'm just saying that isn't that what they're going after, trying to make it an airborne, to come back and mandate masks?
Well, yeah, they've always said it was respiratory, but.
Well, and here's another thing to think about. You've already told people they can make a choice. And if they wanna wear a mask, they can. If they can't social distance, that's probably a good idea for them to do that. If we're providing hand sanitizer, I think that's probably all you would have to do.
Yeah.
But I do wanna remind you that you are not social distance as a commission. And unless you're constantly up here, these screens aren't really doing much either, so where a mask would do more, so. According to the guidance we've received from, not my opinion, okay? If this is just
CDC.
the guidance that we've received from our local health officer and medical advisor.
You know what I would like to see? I would really like to see in America, as smart as we are, why we cannot make a mask that protects the person wearing that mask, rather than have that spill over to other people, and now you're the culprit if I get sick.
Yeah.
I mean, that is ridiculous.
We can, it's the N95 mask. It's got a microparticulate in it that allows you to, it's got a little vent hole for you to breathe out.
Yeah, but we manufacture everything all over the place. And even in this, when this first came out, when we were short on masks, our manufacturers got really busy and started really manufacturing these things at warp speed.
Well, China bought us out.
Mhm.
They bought
China
all our
sold us
masks.
out.
No, they bought all our masks.
Mhm.
So we had none left to distribute.
Okay, so
around
we
here.
manufacture them. So why can we not redesign that and make a mask so that the people who want to be protected from me wear a mask and you're protected from me? Why do I have to, on my back, have that to wear just because I'm living and breathing God's air? Now I'm guilty for everybody that gets sick. I don't buy into that.
Right. Yeah. No, it's the other side of the coin. I mean, think about it. I'm always on both sides, thinking about it always.
I don't think that it's strictly us. We gotta sometimes sit here and make some decisions for the other side, whether we're on board with it or not. I mean, it's some things you have to do. That's why I think that the Governor County is doing what she has to do.
Yeah.
If people are looking for leadership, to help them tell them what to do.
Yeah.
And I feel that we should be part of that. People in the county are for and against, but they're looking for somebody to tell them what to do, so maybe we should start requiring masks in this room if people come in. It wouldn't hurt us to wear masks either at the meetings.
I haven't actually.
Because 3 of us are in that age group. 4 of us, excuse me. I'm sorry. Don't want to leave you out.
You don't know what age group I'm in,
Yeah.
that's okay. But I disagree with what you said because
I
I don't know.
know you do.
I don't know very many adult, responsible people.
I don't know, I think it's
Seriously.
oxymoron if we don't mandate it in the county, we mandate it here. It's my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's terrible, but I don't know a lot of adult, serious people,
Good.
adult
I
responsible
mean, what kind of
people.
message are you sending?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't care if you're walking down the street, we don't want you to wear, but you come in here, you better be protected.
Yeah, because you,
And I
because it's
realize
like,
we are confined, it is an issue, there's no doubt
because it's like the
about that.
message that you're sending them is you have to protect us. We're
So
more
are-
special
so are-
than anybody else.
So would you be comfortable with just having them available, opening the commission up as
I think we
regular,
have to see-
doing away with
we
the
have to see
viewing
what
area,
happens.
and just letting people make their own choices?
Well, I've noticed some other situations, I mean, that there's been an uproar on wanting certain things, and then when they actually open it up and allow other things, those people don't show up because they're still mindful of their own health.
I think we just open it up, see what transpires, and if we have to act on something after that, after we find out that we got too many people, I guess we can act on it then.
The recommendation is, I mean, but that is what it is. I mean, I just, honestly, I mean, if I was somebody that is either diabetic or, well, I am a little obese, but yeah, I just wouldn't put myself in those positions, I guess. That'd be personal responsibility.
That's right.
So I guess we just open it up.
That's what freedom's all about, isn't it?
That's,
Yep.
Personal responsibility, not me telling you have to do it.
yeah.
That's
I
one of
think
the
that's
problems
called
of our country.
socialism when you get to that point, that you have to tell people every move they can make.
That's when it only works for the people at the top.
Yes, that's exactly right, and I really reject going down that road.
I will tell you, I don't know the numbers, I just thought about that this weekend, some sent down the fireworks stand. We only had one gentleman that got upset, because he comes from a county apparently that, has to wear the mask in downtown and stuff. And it was pretty vulgar or outright to say, you guys are sinners for not wearing a mask. And so, and we said, sir, that's you know, that is your privilege in your county, but our county here gives us our privilege, so. And it was interesting, I heard part of the conversation after somebody looked at me like, listen. So I did.
I never read that in the Bible that you have to wear a mask.
But
I overlooked that scripture, I guess.
So need a motion to,
Right, well, I need something to change before before the 15th of July, rather than keeping our current arrangement, which was your previous action through the end of July. So that's all I'm asking for, and whatever that's gonna be, of course, that's up to you all, but I just have an issue with what we're gonna be doing because I need that space.
I would make a motion that we disband the video in the hallway. July 13th would be the last time from lack of participation. Is there reason to disband it?
Well, yeah, that's simple enough, I can second that one. I mean, if there's any other things we need to address, we'll take that up on another motion.
Yeah.
So did you second?
I second.
Okay.
Any other discussion about deleting the TV in the hallway? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
5-0.
thank you. Deidre had sent me an email this morning just to ask me to let you know that the county is still at 2 active cases. I did just get handed the resolution
Okay.
from last week that you did approve. I thought you might want to see what the text looks like. That is just to be signed by the chairman because you authorized that. Do you want to pass this down?
Extra markers.
I have no problem with it.
I'm good with it.
I'm good.
I don't really want to spend something out of nothing, but the part that says, and Dave and I both had the language of strong encourage.
Yeah, I do see that.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that though?
Strongly encourage,
Yeah.
recommend, encourage.
I think it's a little harsh, but I guess
That's what
the rest of
that's what we
it's
said. Whether we said encourage or recommend, isn't
Yeah,
that
it was, yeah.
one and the same?
How are we gonna enforce basic principles of hygiene? So can we have a discussion on that?
Dictate that.
Smell. Since you're on any, go smell and feel.
So everybody's still okay with this?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go ahead and sign it then.
A lot of duck tanks going around for the 4th of July, I mean, you can just use one of them for personal hygiene.
Some people really do need to be schooled on hygiene, but how, I think that's out of our purview.
Put them on the duck tank.
If we do wind up with a excess number of people wanting to attend these meetings, we'll have to address that.
So I can't hear you.
I mean, and a lot of people, more than what we have available to accommodate, we will have to address that because the viewing area will be gone, so. I'm not saying we gotta address it now, I mean, just. So, but.
Okay,
there's
so
still-
for now, are you okay with me having hand sanitizer and masks at the door?
Yes.
And do you want the dividers to,
I don't think
Between
it can
you all?
hurt.
okay.
You're gonna use them during an election, aren't you?
I will probably have to use some of them, but that won't be until election day in August.
Just for-
I will have others,
For 2 days, yeah.
right. And if you're more concerned about, you protecting the public, we could turn them this direction. Since you haven't had anybody within 6 feet of you this way, that's why I put them between you. But it doesn't really work if you're all back here, so. So anyway, just let me know how you want those as we move forward, and I can make changes. Okay.
All right. Take up anything else on that right now? Okay, hearing nothing else, I'd like to move on. But that should be the end of our administrative business, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, on to, Bryce, you're there.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
The only thing that I really had for you this week is the cost share announcement from KDOT is supposed to be held Thursday. They're making a public meeting for it. And so once we hear that information, then we'll know whether we got the money or not. But I guess it brings up the issue with the commission is whether you want to do this regardless this year or not, depending on that cost share. So,
And that is 3:30th?
3:30th as well as Nighthawk.
Oh, both, okay.
Yes. So based on what I've heard from the industry guys, it can still be done, assuming we have a normal fall, because we have weather and temperature requirements on getting that done as well as the seal job. But coming down to the fact is that once we do decide to go to let, we leave it in there for 2 weeks. We work the next week. We're already at the end of July. So that only leaves us maybe 2.5, 3 months of reasonable weather to try to get this done. So
The question is whether or not we want it to be pending on the cost share or to move forward.
correct. I'm hopefully going to have the bid, all the information ready for a bid package by the end of this week. So then, based on a decision on Monday, whether you want to go with it or not, we can proceed that way.
Wouldn't it be prudent, Bryce, to wait until Thursday to see if we're getting any cost share money? If we do, we would move forward. If we don't, we'd have to decide if we wanted to do one of the projects or something like that. I mean, we'd have that, we'd know by next Monday.
Well, that's what I'm saying, it basically comes down to, whether you want to do both projects, whether, with or without the cost share, whether you want to do part of the projects, leave that up to you, that's what I'm asking.
I think Kent's asking, will we know something by Thursday, or the end of this week, or by Monday?
The way it's been brought out to me was they were gonna announce them on Thursday, and then whoever got the projects, or whoever gets the money, and then the others that don't, so we would know Thursday.
Yeah. That information, I think we ought to wait until.
I mean, that's pertinent information.
I
think we need to
understand that.
Find out if we've got money.
I understand the time is pretty important too, in
Well,
order to get stuff done.
yeah,
but
I mean, we could possibly get 3/30th done. I don't know how you're gonna get Nighthawk done this year.
Right.
That's a long stretch.
Okay, well, I guess we'll, wait till Thursday and then make a decision on Monday.
I think we just owe that to the taxpayers if we can take some of that burden off of them.
Okay,
Can I ask a question?
but,
Bryce, I have a question on a different note. It's already July, and time does go by fast. You have a busy schedule for July. I'm wanting to know, are you starting to prepare or thinking about preparing your rock needs to the other quarries and so on, that, to get our foot in the door as far as having rock at the different quarries, the harder rock available to us, so that come winter, November, whenever that would start, that we have access to rock of these.
well, it's like I said before, when I contacted them last time, they said none of them are really gearing up for that now because they're having a hard time keeping up with rock now. But yeah, it's just a matter of taking our needs and sending to them for bids. I mean, I think that could be taken care of within a couple weeks.
Okay, and that was my question, if you were thinking about that, as to how much you wanted to submit to them and things like that. I was just wanting to make sure that behind the scenes, I realized when they're ready to accept them, but I was wanting to make sure, or ask you if you were preparing to be ready to do that, because I know that time to get those in there is sneaking up on us.
Sure. Well, the amount that I can go after for next year depends on how much I'm given on the budget too. So a lot of that depends on those issues too. But they've told me that it's not a problem. I can wait several more months yet and still not have a problem.
Bryce,
But I'm aware of it.
Bryce, I got another question. As far as your 2020, 2021 road rebuilds, how many of the roads, or what percentage of that is completed?
Well, we obviously having to redo the roads up there for the detour. We've got Sunrise to 20th to 40th now done. Today we're moving over to a job from last year on Alamo, and then we'll be moving down to the Diamond and 190th ranges. So depending on weather and things like that, we hope to get at least a mile or two every week, assuming we don't have any weather problems. And we're also starting our chip sealing this week. So the biggest thing we're facing right now is getting enough water to rework the base and get the rock in. So
does it look like it's your goal for the 2020 is going to be met?
If you could tell me what the weather would be like between now and the end of the year, I could probably give you a little more. I mean, if it continues in the hot, dry area, again, that's the only problem is hauling rock. But if we get into another wet spell, you never can tell. I'm hopefully optimistic to get as much as we can.
Okay.
I had a question, Bryce. I had some information that in a few counties around our area, Road and Bridge supplies the commissioners a report on a monthly basis of how many miles were rocked, how many culverts were replaced, like how many miles were chip sealed. I mean, I don't know exactly what's on all these reports, but we look at the bills every month and we see how much we're paying. I think it would be, and I don't know what type of possibility that is, if that requires a piece of software in order to do that. But I think that would be pertinent information to the commission to know, okay, we're spending this much on rock, we're spending this much on culverts, we're spending this much on oil, spending this much on equipment. Okay, what did we accomplish this month?
What information do you want? When do you want it?
So it is a possibility to do that without buying a piece of software to track that.
Well, we do have a STAR software that handles a lot of information, but some of the other information wouldn't be in there, but we can put it all together. Just, I mean, if you want a total
I mean, is this
monthly account,
something-
we can do that, or if you want it weekly, whatever you want.
Is this something that office staff could do? You wouldn't have to per se do it to take up more of your time?
It would be a combination.
Well, I haven't talked to the rest of the commission about this, but, I just, every month I look at the bills and we spent this much and we spent this much. Okay, so what did we accomplish this month? I think just an overview of knowing that, okay, we spent this much, but we got 3 miles of rebuild done. Or,
Sure.
I think that's information that I think's more pertinent to me than, yeah, I know I've got to look at the bill, but, then we have to ask you, okay, we bought $100,000 worth of rock.
Where'd it go?
I'm guessing we spread it all, but
Yeah.
if that rock, if it could be broke down, okay, we re-rocked 10 miles of diamond, or we re-rocked 5 miles of 300th, or whatever that is. I think that's pertinent information that I think we need.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, I'll work out something.
when we're looking at the type of budget numbers that we're looking at, it would certainly clarify a lot of things to me, because sometimes I'll get a question from one of the taxpayers, and they said, well, we saw you spent $100,000 on rock. Where did that rock go, and how many miles got done? And yeah, I know it's asking for another report, but we're kind of report driven, I guess you could say. I mean, I can go out and drive roads all day long and still not get out of northern Marion County. So
Well,
I don't know, it's
I'll
up
come
to,
up with something.
the other commissioners can chime in and see what their thoughts are.
I'm totally on board with that. I mean, that way, when you get hit up, you want to have the answers and not have to.
I mean, it's just like the other night, somebody called me and said that culvert collapsed on Diamond. Well, you kind of told us that had happened. So, it was kind of nice to know that, okay, we know it collapsed and we've got to close it and get it fixed, so, I don't know what the other commissioners think.
All this reporting can be done on an Excel spreadsheet, once you get it set up real easily.
Well, he said he had a piece of software that might do that.
Just, fill in the blanks weekly or daily as they get the job reports back for the employees, what they actually did. I'm sure somewhere they're keeping record on a scratch pad of what happened today.
Let me
Yes.
just come up with something, that report that'll work for you, and then we can start using that.
Boston say it. I agree with Kent. I think that's valuable information for the commissioners, because really when our constituents call us, we look like fools not really knowing, but yet we're spending all this money. And, I think we need to know that. So I do support that.
All right, Bryce, we'll see what you can produce. I mean, if it isn't enough, we'll address that, and add to it or
Right.
whatever.
That's all I had.
All right, thank you, Bryce. Randy, do you have something?
Yeah, it's a good idea. But then it comes into the play of how many times did you use on that road, whether you put a rock path down middle of the road and called that rocked. Somehow we gotta be able to read that report to understand whether we put more than 100 ton a mile, less than 100 ton, 500 ton a mile. Somehow and then we go see it and see what what they've done. But we gotta be able to read that report. Just because it says it's rock, don't mean that it's, if it's a flyover deal or if it's a rock road.
Yeah.
And so, it's whether my staff down there can dissect that without Bryce, I don't know. I just wanna make sure that when we get that thing, like I got 30th down there and they've got the hard rock on it, and I'm sort of watching it, and I'd like to know what we had for tonnage went down on that and stuff like that, and so, yeah, it's a good idea. I'm just saying, that has to be where you can go decipher what we did. So,
Well, when the rock trucks go out, Bryce, doesn't the supervisor tell them how many ton to put on that mile?
Did he leave?
Hello?
I think he's gone.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I think
Well, surely there's gotta be somebody telling them what to put down.
yeah, because I know
Surely
sometimes they
someone
may
does.
only put down it, like Randy said, they might put down 100 ton, or
Yeah.
maybe 200, maybe 300.
But that should come back then to the engineers.
You
to
know,
make
and I
sure that that's
think
right.
it'd be, like Randy said, if we have a report that says we rocked 30th
Mhm.
Yeah.
with 100 ton.
Yeah.
Okay, that gives me an idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, Randy, when I say thank you to Bryce, usually he's.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I just want us sort of, we get a report that we can at least tell them what we want.
Especially with that, then you can compare apples to apples.
Yeah, because if it's just a single stream truck down the middle with at such and such ton, at least we know that that road maybe wasn't even prepared to rock or something. It was just a flyover. I call it a flyover.
Yeah, I've seen those, yes.
You know, but and I'm not saying that that helps with accountability, but
Yeah.
in
Somewhat,
public
yeah.
perception, it does, because just like Mr. Beneke said this morning, I've heard from several people that said, now it's been a year, and I haven't seen this fixed, or I haven't seen that fixed, and I think, we can all blame the weather, but we live in Kansas, so we're gonna blame the weather forever.
Yep.
All right, well, hopefully Bryce brings us back something that's workable.
Yeah.
Gonna move on to Lisa. Herb?
Hi. Hello, how are you?
Morning.
Good.
Good. Everybody having fun 4th of July? Good. I just have a few things, as the two are shaking. Relist is going well. We did send out the mailers, as you guys were aware. We've had a good response back with those, being returned in a timely manner. We are still, another part is sales. I've been obviously going out on sales. We're still doing pretty much typically how we had been, just the addition has been the questionnaires. Still going to the door, measuring the property, visiting with people. We've had really no bad instances. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're scared to see us or anything. When I go to the door, I knock, and then I do step kind of off the porch a little ways and talk, just so I don't worry anyone. But there again, we've had nothing but good. We did order a laptop in March. It was on back order, obviously, for quite a while. We did get that in. Lloyd had just sent a message this morning that it is ready for pickup. Do I still code that like as a COVID expense?
Is that what you ordered it under?
It was, yes.
That's what
Okay.
it is.
Okay, all right. I think you guys already know we hired 2 new employees. Sequoia started in the office on June 15th, and then Mike transferred on the 22nd. They're doing as well as can be expected. They're going out, and I think they'll be good for the office too. I think I've mentioned a little bit earlier that the values I've completely certified on May 20th. We had just a minimal increase, but there again, I don't know what happened with state assessed. So I don't know at this point where we all stand. Just when I certified, when I compared last year's to this, we increased a little bit, which, considering the adversities of the oil I was happy to see that we weren't just completely down. Neighborhood land analysis, I've completed the neighborhood analysis, we'll start the land. We still have a few payment under protest trickling in, but there again, nothing, we're completely caught up, nothing's open right now. In April, and I think we've already touched on this a little bit too, we were notified by Lynn Kent, which is the supervisor of the oil and gas, on a court case. At this time, the court case was with River Rock Energy. I think you guys had maybe been notified by another county. They had, okay, no, okay. Anyway, there was this big, the state requested all the information for like 4 or 5 years from us. If they're a low production exemption, there's a company trying to get the equipment value removed also. And so that was just kind of a court case that was going on. So far, we do not have this company in Marion County. We have not had any requests except from Lynn to send us the information of how it would impact us. So I haven't really put a lot of emphasis on it because we don't have that company here. So just to let you know on that. And last, our new photography is now completed. I brought in some examples if you guys want to see them. I'll just pass it around and you guys can look at them, but that's about all I had. I didn't have a lot going on, just busy as typical.
Thank you.
Yes.
Lisa, can I ask, Mr. Randy, can I ask you that, how you doing your people and everybody's showing to work and coming to work during the day and stuff?
Yes. For the most part, we've had a few that have not felt well, so they've either gone home or called in sick, but it's been non-related to anything going on.
Okay, well,
It
it
doesn't
doesn't
matter
matter.
if it's related or not. Stay home.
Well, and that's right, that's right.
So, the, one thing I had was, you say it kinda got your evaluations to balance out
Uh-huh.
with the oil
Mhm.
tanking.
Mhm.
What made that difference? What,
With the oil,
yeah, what brought the?
when,
I understand the oil evaluation going down.
Okay.
I do get that.
You do?
But what,
Land prices went up.
did land prices go up? Did something else?
actually, it was
covered that
very,
gap?
it was very interesting this year. And something I have not witnessed in my years again, as far as ag land went this year. Cropland, actually, for the most part, every soil type we have here went down, but the pasture land this year went up, and went up quite a bit. That and new construction, of course, which we go out, we measure, we list, that was definitely an overall. We actually did have a 2% trend based upon the analysis that I did, so that's based upon sales. So that actually is an indicator, obviously value should go up a little bit. And so overall, yes, real estate did go up, and it did just kind of fill in the gap of the oil, because honestly, the real estate prices had already been set and mailed prior to even finding out that the oil was getting cut in half. So that was already predetermined way before we even were notified of that. So yeah, real estate was up, ag land, like I said, pasture land was up. I don't know what it'll do this coming year, I have no idea yet.
Just trying to figure out where the.
Where the gap.
Where the yin met the yang.
Yeah, it definitely was, it definitely was the real estate. We did have new construction, some of that of course is on neighborhood revitalization, but definitely the ag land helped maybe save us a little, I will say.
There's a lot of CRP land that's gonna be expiring in 2020. Just thousands and thousands of acres, and some of it is not qualified for enrollment.
Right?
I'm just wondering what that's going to do to valuations. Is that considered a grassland?
It is not. When it is CRP, it is actually considered dry land and valued at a dry land value.
Okay.
But once it expires, I think because it's the income producing, that's what the state considers it as. But it'll go back into, grassland once the CRPs are
So
expired.
that's gonna be a double whammy. You don't get a payment from the government anymore, and it goes into a grassland value that's going up.
It is, the grassland value is going up, but it's still considerably less than the cropland. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is. So it actually, their taxes should, or value, I won't say taxes, value should go down. And so, but yeah, that'll bring me to another point, and I think we already talked about this also, but we will be sending for 2021, we will go ahead and send out probably ag questionnaires. We try to do that every 3 years, and that actually does also ask about CRP contracts and when they expire and stuff like that. We actually track the CRP contracts in our Orion system as well, and that's kind of reviewed each year also. Most of the time, the farmers let us know if something's coming out. Typically.
I kind of, usually when you see a wave of change, it starts way out west. And I've noticed that CRP out there is not selling, and people are really struggling to get a price for it.
Yep. Well, up until recently, and this is the farm hunting side of me, as CRP, if there's not enough rain, there's not enough birds, so people aren't quite as interested in that CRP land.
Well, Sportsman's kind of drove the value of CRP for quite a few years,
Yes.
but maybe that's kind of at waning, I don't know.
Yeah, it is, it's slowed down. I think hopefully with all the additional rain, because they've actually had a little bit more rain out that way, but that'll maybe help the population.
You said something, Kent, that I'd like to ask you a question about. Is the 2020, when you said a lot, is that how a lot of the CRP is set on every 10 years and on the big numbers, rotation like that?
Well, they're on 10 years, but the one, and I've actually had a piece that expired that I can't, and a lot of that is the, what they call buffer. We had a big push for buffers in Marion County when they started examining the water quality in Marion Reservoir here 10, 12 years ago.
Due to the
And
rats.
there was just, soil conservation was recommending these buffer strips. They don't end up being lots of acres. They look like there's a lot out there, but it's along the waterways. And they're not re-enrolling that, and I just can't for the life of me figure out why. That really was an important part of CRP because it dealt with water quality more than wildlife.
Yep.
I guess that's a question of soil conservation.
That was really all that I had today. Is there anything you guys have for me?
Nice pictures.
Good.
Makes your job easier, doesn't it?
It does. It does. The quality this time around, I thought, is really exceptional for what we've seen before. And so the pictures of the courthouse, they take different angles, so I just wanted you guys to see the different spot-ons that you can see.
Who gets tasked with putting all the lot lines in there?
Those have already, basically, the lot lines were actually done years back by RNS Digital. That's something else, and I need to be bringing that up to you. Every year we sign a contract with RNS. It's just pretty much standard. They do the updates of everything. But they actually implemented our GIS system years back. And then each time we get the new photography, they just basically pull that in and update it, and it is ready to go.
Can the general public come in and get a picture of their land?
Absolutely. That's what we're there for.
Over here, on the street.
I assume so.
Yep, absolutely.
That. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
What is that? On the courthouse, when you're looking at the south parking lot, the street through right of way almost looks like the parking lot owns the crosswalk.
I was gonna say, I think I handed all my pictures. Let me see. I think I handed all mine down.
It's just, the lines move based on the view, so
Yeah.
the one from straight above is gonna show you the lot lines the best.
But don't count on these lot lines, there's nothing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing but gold and,
Yes.
bank on in there.
Yep,
But if you look at that,
Surveyors don't use them.
yep, that's right. It does, it looks like it should be shifted that way just a scotch.
it looks like it needs to be out of the street, and put back into this triangle over here with the little red cars parked. Just nitpicking a little bit, just I think it needs to be updated.
Just never happy on you.
And let's see here, I'll use the disclaimer, we're not surveyors in our office.
It's close.
It's close, that's right.
I like to see them on there though, because some people don't even have a clue there's a survey or a property line through there,
Absolutely.
so. We
Yes.
just can ask a question about it.
I did see it on the
Absolutely.
waterways too, you know, some of the waterways were marked out, and other ones, like, it just didn't get marked on the same page.
Well, and to be honest with you, some of that could be me because I did not load every layer.
Oh, okay.
I just kind of I was just really wanting you just to see the quality of the photography itself. And so I can add, we can add layers and take layers away. We can show you what soil types you've got assigned to it.
Yeah.
We can go almost as detailed as you would like us to. I just wanted you to see the clarity of the picture itself, because to me that's what we just purchased, and it's like, it's nice to see what you guys, did invest in, and good idea. Anything else?
Is that, somebody asked me about that. So all this pictometry, is it available to the public?
It is not. Okay, wait, yes and no. You can come in and we can give you anything. We do not give you a sign-on to go on to that. The website, we do have a website that you can pull down, and I believe you can see an aerial on it. But the pictometry is really just for our office use. But like I said, we share the photography with other entities. Yes, they can go on and look, but just an individual, we do limit that because it's.
I was just wondering for, say like bank evaluations on properties and stuff.
They typically will call, or, like I said, they can go onto the website. There is a spot on our website that you can just pull up an aerial of it. But we don't just, we kind of keep that limited.
Okay.
We don't want anything to.
Don't want to bring your program.
Exactly.
Well, as far as the visuals.
Yes,
as far as the pics.
anybody can come in and get any information they want. It is totally available to the public.
Okay.
We just don't give them individual access to that.
You always tell them, well, look at Google Earth. Well, that doesn't update all the time.
No, and that's why I say it's like that's the benefit of this. And I know we're very flexible on sharing with anybody, anytime. But yeah, we just kind of keep it more secure than just letting anybody into the pictometry system.
Right. But you will produce it.
Absolutely,
Okay.
you betcha.
All right, good enough.
All right, you guys all have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see Josh patiently waiting out there. Morning, Josh.
Morning. The recycling, is question, I know we talked about it, but do we need a minimum charge, minimum weight?
I would, you want to charge so much, I would recommend that the first 100 pounds that the public brings in is at no charge. That would take care of the average household, and that would keep them from making change on the floor. They're doing paperwork. It'd cut down on labor costs if they didn't have to be a cashier. They could just unload it and go on.
What happens with C&D?
C&D, we have a minimum of 300 pounds. If anything under 300, we don't really charge. Anything over 300, we charge.
But C&D is still being tipped at the lower $40 fee versus recycling. So.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm just worried about the time and labor of the guy on the floor, you know, carrying a bunch of dollar bills in his pocket trying to make change, or you don't have time to run back to the office to get a receipt, or, I mean, I don't know how you,
Since the construction, we moved out that all up on the floor.
Okay.
It saves time.
Is the challenge that you don't have a scale that weighs less than 20 pounds?
Yeah, we don't have anything that goes under 20 pounds.
So is there a lot of
That's it.
people bringing in small amounts of?
This Friday is gonna be our first Friday.
Oh, okay.
Because we didn't do it last week, so.
I'd say anything, this is my thought, in my opinion. I'd say anything under 100 pounds is just a $5 minimum fee.
I think we ought to get something for it. I mean, we're paying for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's how I see it. That way,
and
no, it's
people,
under 100 pounds, it's just $5. I mean,
the household won't recycle them, they'll just throw it in the trash. I mean, the gal bringing in
Well,
10 boxes.
that'll tell us then that we've put too much emphasis on recycling.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
if it's not.
I think that will tell us how, you know, tell us that people are wanting to recycle, or it really doesn't matter.
Mhm. I agree.
that's just my opinion. I looked at it, and it's a little off. I mean, you're looking at $4.50 on $100. But if you just call that, or $4.50 minimum, $5 bill's a little easier to deal with.
You don't want to deal with nickels and dimes.
Yeah, so $5 bill, and you can plus it up to 120 pounds, or whatever it takes to get you your $5. Anything there and below is just $5.
Crazy.
But
I'm anxious to see whether, okay, so you got a $5 bill here for this little sack, and you're interested in it. Are you gonna save that recycling till you get
I would.
3 sacks or so, and then bring it all in at once? You know, I don't know what's gonna happen to, what I'm saying, what's gonna happen to them down there.
Well, people will figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, might take them a little while, but they'll figure out, well, I'll wait till I get
A decent sized
a
one.
bunch,
Yeah.
you know. And that makes it better for you guys too.
Oh,
yeah,
Less
right.
people.
It's not just sitting there getting stored.
Right, right.
We'll make that move.
If everybody kind of agrees with me, I will.
I'm on board, just gotta get something for it. I mean, we gotta make a
Does
determination.
$5 kind of calculate out?
He's what he's talking about, to 100 pounds or
Is
150
that what every
pounds.
100 pounds then basically
It's
costs $5?
actually about $4.50.
For every 100 pounds, is basically what it comes out to be. Okay.
So, I mean, if you charge a minimum, so that,
But
we also have a floor fee that usually gets, so that would handle it too. So, I mean,
Have a what?
a floor fee when they come on the floor.
If you did something like that, we don't have now.
what's the minimum that you weigh?
On the scale,
Yeah.
the minimum I believe would be 20 pounds.
Okay, so you could weigh 200 pounds and.
Yeah, I can
They'd
weigh-
have to go around on the,
Mm-hmm, yeah.
through the
Yeah.
traffic hazard there. Yeah, right now the public can't hardly get to the scales. I mean, I'd hate to send somebody down there tell them they'll get lost and not get out.
Mhm.
Until we get our gate back, is that in the future or drive-through?
It'll be the end of the project.
So no.
Yeah, no, we won't, you gotta circle around the north end.
I don't know how you can ask a little lady to drive around and weigh her.
Most of the guys would see, they're gonna know 100 pounds, you're gonna have a lot of recycling with 100
Yeah.
pounds even, so, they probably wouldn't scale them, they'd just say, this is what the cost is gonna be.
Is that something that's workable for you guys? Just a flat $5 fee?
We can do that. I'd like to get another cash box just for recycling and keep it separate than my C&D and the transfer station.
You're in charge, do it.
So,
So it's easier for you guys to do.
okay.
Just sitting here thinking. What does it break down to? 4.4.
4.1 cents a pound.
Okay, so 100 pounds is $4.10.
Is that right?
Yes, that is right, I just did the math.
Okay, I couldn't remember what it was.
So between 120 and 130 pounds, how do you break it out? 125 somewhere, so.
$5 bill,
Yeah, it's kind of a judgment call.
whatever that will allow.
I would suppose if you packed recycling in your pickup bed, you might get to 125 pounds.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't weigh anything.
No.
Yeah, a medium-sized box will weigh a pound.
So that's, I guess I'll make a motion for anything 125 pounds or less. It's a $5 flat fee.
Is it 25 or
100 pounds. 100 pounds.
We can go 100 pounds. Yeah, all right, let's keep it simple. 'Cause it just seems a little odd to me. If I make that motion, then people are going to wait and bring in 110 pounds and pay less than $5. And that makes things complicated.
That'll show us that recycling is something that's very important to people, otherwise they won't worry about it.
How do you see that? I mean, what they've thrown at you, Josh, is some different scenarios here. They bring in 3 sacks, well, you can more or less pick them up unless there's glass now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Glass
if
will
there's
be heavy.
glass in there, it's gonna get heavy. And so if they bring in 10 sacks in the back of the truck, Diane's coming from north, so she's gonna save her mileage and she's gonna put 10 sacks of glass in there. That's gonna get pretty heavy. I mean, it's gonna be different than 10 sacks of cardboard and stuff like that and around, so, yeah, so what do you think, what's easy for you guys to do? Is it this 100 pounds, is that gonna be the pretty good limit?
I think it would, yeah. You know, if we get to where we can't, okay, it looks like it might be, we can scale them.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
You got that option?
we've got the option.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that motion,
So-
I mean, if you go to 100. I like the option if you're going to 100.
$5 for 100
Yeah,
pounds.
100 or less.
I will continue with that motion, make a motion to charge a flat fee of $5 for 100 pounds or less on recycling.
Second.
Second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor? That brings up another point, is C&D. I know you don't charge for anything under 300. Does that need a flat fee?
I think it's sometime in the truck, when the new transfer station,
Does that need a $5 flat fee?
or something, whatever. Well, I always look at the floor fee, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, C&D on the, if they're gonna throw it in through the window, that's gonna be a different issue. Well, no, it's not, it's gonna be through the window. Are they gonna allow through the window? Is that gonna allow a whole truck to back up and throw through the window, through the garage door?
They're gonna work their butt off.
Yeah.
Working very hard.
To save a few bucks.
Yeah, so it's, there's some workout things that we gotta work out on, I believe. I don't know where we're at right now with it.
Okay.
Just verifying, that was 5-0, is that correct? Everybody voted in favor of that last motion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
100 pounds for $5.
That's all I've got.
Are you kind of keeping everything picked up around there? Cleaned up and everything? I know it's a job.
It's a job. Just last month, we hauled in 909 tons to El Dorado. So, and our average is around 500 ton a month. So we got
Let's start to see.
of course, that C&D,
Yeah.
you know, that's a lot there, but it's keeping them guys busy, so,
And then, I mean, cleaning up around
Mhm.
where it blows and stuff.
yeah.
What about your vacant positions?
I've got one filled, still waiting on somebody to apply for the truck driver position.
Okay.
So their truck driver even?
He quit and went to a job with better pay.
Okay. No hard feelings, just better pay?
Just better pay. It
Well,
took him a
that's
lot
good.
so.
Simple. All right.
Anything else?
Thank you, Josh.
All right, thank
Happy
you.
day.
Thank you too. Thanks.
All right. Gotta be out there. Marion County Conservation District.
Check to see if he's out there.
I can go check. Yeah, you can, there's seats around in here. There's some hand sanitizer for the blanket. Whoever's gonna speak though, you will have to take turns speaking into the microphone at the table there.
Me speak?
Everybody's jumping right up there, I
Everyone
can tell.
really wants that opportunity. Well, we're here at Marion County Conservation District, asking for our budget request.
I'm gonna hand you a corrected version. Okay, corrected.
You didn't wanna just jump right up there? Oh, okay.
Our new district manager is Lori Kraus Siebert.
Oh.
Brand new, she's
Brand
only
new.
been here for 3 days.
And one of them was a
So
holiday.
don't scare her, she might not.
Yeah. And she discovered, Betty had admitted a line on the budget you had in front of you, $25,000 receipt, so.
So she made her wages.
So she fixed that for you. As you know, the district manages the flow of state funds into the county for water resources, soil conservation, and all that kind of good stuff. You had a report, didn't you, Laura, on how many dollars had come in?
It's all attached behind.
You got it?
Yes, there was like 190,000 that was federal and state funds that have been distributed out for conservation practices, various conservation practices, and for water quality issues. It should be the last page on your, behind, in front of the map. There's a little, Betty had a map drawn up that she was kind of wanting everybody
Yeah,
to see.
look at this.
No. I think I looked at it enough already.
Got it memorized.
Yeah. We are tasked with providing a manager to manage the flow of funds, and then also we also provide RAPS funds for help to provide. One of our employees' part-time job is to do the RAPS projects with Marion and Cottonwood Rivers. So we stay pretty busy. We've asked for an increase this year. We've got some things coming up now that Lori's on board. Our computer system is 20 years old. The state was grumping at us last time Bruce was up in Topeka, and he didn't like to be chewed at very well. So.
And I started chewing on them already because it's like, you want me to work with this?
Yeah, it was kind of like, are you serious? So Lori comes to us from the Lyon and Chase County. She's been over there for 2 years.
Yes,
The
I was,
manager over there,
I was in this position for 2 years for handling 2 districts. So.
but she's experienced in,
Wonder
and
where you
then
went.
she
Yeah,
doesn't,
that's all in.
the trip is shorter here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am very thankful and glad to be back working at home, my home county and hometown.
Yes. But, we have a few more expenses to do. That's why we're asking for a small increase this year. We're going from, 36.4 to 39.5. That's, that money provides the salaries and other expenses for part of the salaries for the office. It's a pretty good investment for the county to have that support provided for the federal office as well as our local programs.
KDHE and RAPS and all that is in Topeka, and then their head offices also. But one of their, not one, the main thing was communication. Had to be improved between that office and this office. And this office here is one of the biggest offices in the state of Kansas. We handle more things than a lot of them put together. So they require their information, don't put some in an envelope and mail it back and forth. When we want it, you punch it in on your computer and then we've got it here. We can make our stuff work. And all three of them sat there and pointed their guns and said, either upgrade or we will transfer this to other offices, which we don't want. We want the money allocated through here.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Keep everybody going.
We have people that are attending a meeting virtually, and they won't be able to hear you speaking if you're not
Switch
speaking
out.
into the microphone.
Okay.
Okay.
So I apologize, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Okay.
I got one question before you change seats there. You said your budget request last year was what?
36,425, first page here in the middle, county appropriation general fund.
Okay, all right, I got you. I was trying to find that line item.
Yeah.
But your overall expenditure budget is actually dropped, so I'm trying to figure out why there's an increase.
Well, we're anticipating, Bruce, put it on the mic.
sorry about that, gentlemen.
We're anticipating further upgrades in equipment for computers and that sort of thing, programming. Just continued additional expense.
And I noticed up there on the top line of, on your wages, salary,
Yeah.
I don't know, as Betty
Oh.
took a correct figure there, because the wages and salary looks to me like it had dropped like almost 40,000, 35,000.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know if you had some special one-year employee in there or
Well,
something, doing something.
what happened was we were allocated to pay part of the RAPS program director. The money came into us and into our account and then went to the RAPS director. Now they changed that after the last meeting we had. They pay the RAPS director directly instead of funneling it through our department. And that would account for that incomplete amount of money.
It was basically one position.
Yeah, it was one position. Jobs remain the same,
Yeah.
but they're paying instead of us.
Well, it really comes through us, but it comes through a different
Yeah,
portion of the budget.
we don't have to, yeah.
It's not part of salary, it's not part of salary's contract. It's a contract.
Yeah.
And I hope she's got that all allocated out.
That was
correctly.
the $25,000 figure that she left off down on the receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
corrected that made for the correction of the form that need to be given to.
That's the wrong form.
That one up there is wrong, that's what I gave you as a corrected version. I only started on the first, so. 3 days into the job here.
Get the road running.
yeah.
But what you're doing for Marion County is very vital to help with conservation measures, water quality, and if everybody, the guys that have highly erodible land, if they would all put in terraces and do the, the no-till and that kind of options, it would even help with your road and bridge, because they would not be funneling, the water wouldn't be funneling into your road ditches.
I noticed that you had some programs in there that actually gave them higher precedent if they,
Yes.
where was it? If it helped the roads out.
There's a bunch of small programs.
Water
Aren't-
resource cost share program.
There are, yeah, there's a bunch of state cost share
Right.
programs that help with, that they all help with what, terraces and waterways.
In the ranking form, the landowners receive extra points if they will benefit the county road.
Yes, I see that.
I saw that.
As they're saying, there's numerous other programs that are going on all the time, federal and state supported programs. But there's a lot of really small programs. For instance, if you're living in the country and you've got a home that's not new, been there forever, and your wastewater system is not up to date, antiquated, doesn't work, whatever. That's where the water quality thing comes in, and underneath that situation, we can help them build a new lagoon, redirect the water from virtually down the county road ditches, which is not unusual here in this county, and get those kind of programs implemented, and nobody knows anything about them, and they just keep doing violations because they can't afford to get their thing fixed. We can help, we can do that simply with the water quality.
Wondering if you've been reached out by a certain individual, but I'll ask about it later.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things, and everybody in the district has to be aware of those up-to-date daily here. Guess what's coming here, and get it out, because we're ranked on how good a job we disperse the money that comes to us for programs. If we sit on it and it doesn't come, guess what? Next year it's not here. So we have a very high saturation rate on the money allocated, and it almost always is 100% goes out, and then we have more for next year guys on the list, so we use it all.
I believe Betty even instructed or told me that she had gotten, because I remember that when I was over in the other counties, they had extra funds come back
Yeah.
from a non-point source situation. And so then they offered that up to all the counties again, so they had extra money that came at a later date. So there's always that kind of possibility. If other counties don't use all of their funds, we can always collect some more.
Yeah.
Well, I
They
know
kind of
that
limit you to start, but let you go.
That's probably a question of map, but, you know, I was going through here and, you know, water quality is such an issue in this county, and yet Kansas quit funding, I guess, the buffer initiative. No new contracts. I don't get that. Is there a lobby somewhere that?
Can't answer that yet.
That was probably one of the most important contracts we had in this county with the fewest acres of land,
Yeah.
and they nixed it. And I was part of that. It made me quite enamored.
Yeah.
I mean, for years, north of the reservoir, we've got to clean the water up, we've got to clean the water up, and then they cancel it.
We have still ongoing projects, and those projects are now kind of channeled through research studies, and the RAPS, I'm speaking to the RAPS, which isn't really our bag, but we know a lot about it, is the amount of phosphorus and so on that comes into the reservoir. We have various different stations on all these feeder fingers that are coming in, and they're being built right now, and we have quite a few in there. We don't have 100%, but we will have 100%, and that is monitored through the research department at K-State. And so we have these complicated stations that we get now. We're getting almost all the time monthly, weekly readings on what's coming in here and so on, so that we have a fingerprint instead of just a guess or go out there and dip some water out and hope everything comes out. It's far more logical approach to what the whole thing is. And then the guns below us, cause 90% of our water that comes here goes to Oklahoma and Missouri. And those guys have the big recreation lakes and all that stuff. They're worried about us sending them water over there. So we've got a whole bunch of research and development, and they're building these cages or monitoring devices as we speak here, and they're putting them virtually everywhere that anything comes in.
Well, congratulations for being on board.
Yeah, thanks.
You may have already done this, but would you all mind stating your name for the record?
Sure, I'm Bruce Schroeder, Hillsborough.
I'm Greg Bowers, Marion.
And I'm Lori Siebert from Marion.
Thank you.
Don't know you get it, but I would imagine most likely unless the final cut day something cuts, but.
How often does the board meet?
Monthly.
Monthly. We'd like ideas where to meet because it
Because I know-
gets us out of our building.
One of the commissioners is designated to be what? Ex officio?
Oh, really? Okay.
We do it every year, but nobody ever hears of a meeting.
Well,
Where did you went to a meeting, didn't you, Diane?
I did, yes.
Did you have to call them and ask them when it was?
No, I got a notification.
Oh, okay.
I think it's posted down here at the courthouse someplace. Betty always talks about if you have to move a meeting, she has to get it on the schedule. I don't know where it's at.
Okay. Well, you might work with Tina on that to make sure whoever the designee from the commission is gets those notices.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we could mail you the packet we get just as easy as anybody else. Or put it on an email, whatever. Yeah, you're certainly always welcome. I've never had a guest at any meeting I've ever gone to.
Not
I think that,
either.
I mean, the board that the commission generally is invited to be on is the RAPS board.
Now, maybe that's what I'm thinking, the RAP.
Yeah.
The stakeholders meeting, yeah.
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 That could be.
But I can check on this one, but I
Okay.
don't think.
Okay, yeah, thanks for your attention.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You'll have a great day.
About back home, but Brad is not here. I don't see him online.
I tried to reach him, we'll see if I get him. Let's see him.
Yeah, it's like we'll take a short recess, resume back at 10:45.
Anybody need this? Nope.
Thank you.
A Band-Aid Clorox wipes.
Okay,
They
so
wouldn't
we'll
do that.
recess until 10:45.
Yeah. I just seen so many problems. You know, even in the governor's order, he talked about the hearing impaired and the deaf, you know, not needing to wear it. Well, there's certain people that were in
Yeah, they're
Hillsborough. My parents were here and they're both hard of hearing. My dad's got 10% hearing and my mom's got like 20. And they signed and everything. They went into the hardware store. Somebody ripped them out for not wearing a mask.
Your parents?
Yeah.
No.
And so I was just sitting there thinking, this whole GO
We
is,
are
Yeah.
in business.
Definitely.
Under 5 and
The way
under,
the state
hearing
mandate is
impaired
written.
or
Those businesses.
Which way is there tennis shoes every year when you start this 4th of July thing? I always find that at the
Did
trade
Tina
shows.
tell you
I
what
buy
I
brand new
wanted?
shoes every year.
Okay. Yep.
You remember where
so I feel comfortable. Try to space them out.
Everything's rolling. I never stopped the recording of the meeting.
Very good, so out of recess. It's a few minutes past 10:45. I apologize for that. But I'm going to go on to our next agenda item. Is County Councilor Brad Jans.
We need an executive session initially on litigation matters to include the board, myself, and Susan.
Okay.
Tina? Sure.
She's got some history about this.
Okay. So I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss item number 2, consultation with our attorney-client privilege, current litigation for a matter of
5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. To resume back at 10:55 with the board, Brad, Susan, and Tina. Pursuant to KSA 75-4319B.
Second.
Second by Kent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, so we will resume the electronic meeting at 10:55.
Another one. 20 minutes probably. Contract negotiations.
Did they long enough? We always run out of time.
Yeah, could go longer. If you guys want to do longer, that's fine.
30 minutes.
Yep.
This conference will now be recorded.
Out of executive session, no action taken. This time I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss item number 2, consultation with our attorney for contract negotiations for a matter of 30 minutes with the board and Brad pursuant to KSA 75-4319B.
Second.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so.
We will reconvene at what time?
30 minutes, we'll be looking at 11:25.
11:30. Yeah.
Oh yeah, by the time the electronic gets back on, it'll be 11:30.
Okay, we are in recess we're in for executive session till 11:30.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Out of executive session, no action taken. This time I think I'll direct Brad to give planning and zoning. So planning and zoning is on next week's agenda to discuss the status of the CUP for Annell and the status of a potential claim on LOC. Letter of credit.
Did you hear that? I had a hard time hearing that. You talk so silent, or maybe it's these bars that, I don't know, I just have a hard time. Yeah, I have good hearing.
It's hard to get home.
My directive was for Brad to be with planning and zoning and have them placed on next week's agenda to discuss the status of an LCUP and the status of the potential claim on the letter of credit on it.
Thank you. ask Brad a different question or a different subject? Are we in our meeting right now?
Yeah, we're on a meeting.
Okay, just sitting here, I asked another question. So Brad, I had a phone call a couple of weeks back. One of the fire chiefs up in my area had asked to do some documentation with you so that they can move forward with the grant and in that preparation form, and they haven't heard anything. Can you kind of give me an update on that, where you are? They're kind of getting antsy, wanting to move forward.
Two separate things. On that grant, that was processed, as I understand it, through Marion. Roger helped them with that.
Right.
So there was no impact on that. But then what he asked from me, or at least he thought they would like to continue to go forward, was still establishing a 501c3.
Yes.
So I drafted all the documentation on that and thought about it on Friday, but it was a holiday. I had not talked to him to make sure that they approve these documents and that I need a signature, and then it's just submitted and we wait for the approval. There's really no, it's kind of a process. It's not not anything you have to worry about getting. They qualify. We just need to.
Okay, well, he had contacted me and was wanting to have an update because we're kind of waiting.
Yeah.
I thought he told me they had everything ready and they were waiting on you, and I was like, well, I didn't hear anything.
They shouldn't be waiting on anything on that grant because that went forward to the best of my knowledge. If there's anything there that I need to hear from him, but it was going to take too long to get this for them to qualify. They had just a few days there, so that was agreed upon and done in a different fashion with an existing not-for-profit. But they still wanted, as I understood it, for future reference, their own not-for-profit status.
Correct.
So I'm just doing it on that basis.
Okay, all right, thank you for the update.
Anything else for Brad? If not,
One thing, Brad, I think and I don't know of any specifics, but I've been hearing from some of the departments that they've asked for a few documents or something you're working for them on, and they really need to expedite that.
Okay.
Are you having a struggle trying to keep up with that end of it? I know I know you got a lot of strings out there.
Candidly, yeah, a little bit. I'm not sure. There's a couple with
Maybe Road Bridge.
Road Bridge, and then we have another one that I need some more information on from them, like for Gerald Unruh.
Yeah.
That one's outstanding.
Okay. Yeah.
That's and then Bryce had a couple of other items that I need to talk to him about.
If you start getting overwhelmed with some of this, just let us know. Are you getting overwhelmed, or what are the priorities? I guess.
Yeah.
Because in your business, I'm sure you have to have priorities.
Well, and some of those they've kind of gone out there and then they died away for a while and then they come back up because suddenly they're needing something. But no, I need to check with each and every one of them. So if you hear that, please let me know.
Okay.
And I'll go back to them and try to make sure we get it handled.
Okay.
Anything else for Brad? This time it's for public comment. We had
Do you want me to unmute everyone in case someone on the phone has a public comment?
okay, yeah. Well, there's, I guess they're all public, really. I mean, even if they're employees, so yeah.
Okay, I hit unmute all, so if they're muted, it should be on their own devices. I don't see anyone actually calling in on the phone. It looks like everyone's on a computer.
Okay. I know Tom was in here. I don't know if he had anything.
Does anyone on the electronic meeting have a public comment that they want to?
I typed it into the chat box too while we were still talking to Brad. I typed typed in public comment with a question mark, just to try to give them an extra second or two to realize we were at that point in the meeting. So, all right, commissioner comments then.
I'd like to ask, first thing I'd like to ask is, what we just talked about, is you have our employees up there. But anyway, public comments, when you ask for that in our employees, I'd like for some guidance. When our employees are up there and they're watching our meeting, and you ask for public comments, does that entitle them to public comment or private comment, or are you talking about a department head making a department head comment? That's, I mean, that's for the commission to decide. I'm just trying to get some, if this, like you see up there, I see one, two, or there was 2 or 3 department heads there at one time, but anyway, I'm just wondering, what, as a commission, what are we wanting to do with that?
In my opinion, they're still part of the public, so, but they tread pretty lightly when they need to keep in mind that they.
While they're on the clock, you're considering them part of the public.
If a department
I
head.
They pay taxes like everybody else.
While they're on the clock, you're saying that they're gonna be treated as public.
Wouldn't it be appropriate if it's a department head or a county employee that we would allow them to comment under commission comments?
Or you can separate an additional category, even while this is continuing on with remote meetings to staff comments or something to that effect, if you want to create a category for that purpose, so that if they're doing so in the context of their job description, you know, they're always available to, if they've got a personal comment, to come on and do it as a public comment, but specifically identify. This has nothing to do with my employment. I am doing this as an individual citizen.
The department head can always request time on the agenda too.
But normally when they do that, they just get on the agenda and give us
Yeah.
a report or something.
Yeah.
I mean, normally this is kinda,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's kinda really walking on very thin ice myself.
I'm just
I'm
trying
glad
to
you
follow
brought that
that.
up.
That was one thing. The second thing I have for commission comments is I meant to even put it on the agenda for next week. I believe we need our department heads back to work in the buildings and stuff, and figure out how we can cope with COVID. And that's why I think, seems like there's maybe some that's not, so
Yep,
that's just my opinion.
I'll second your opinion.
I thought all of them were
I don't think
department
so.
heads.
Don't know, maybe last week. I was off last week. I didn't, there hasn't been up to the week before.
I've spoken with a few of the department heads, and they'll be on here, but they're doing their job, and it's just,
Listening.
they're listening, so
Right,
that way
they just have a meeting.
pick up on anything like, something we would breeze over and not think much about, but it can mean a lot to them, you know, so they're just.
Well, I mean, we've ordered them, we allowed it to go home, come back, whatever. Where are we putting a stop to it? Or when is it stopping, or what are we doing?
I was going back to your first
Okay.
item, sorry.
Okay.
And yeah, it was more of
This is
a,
over with, I guess.
yeah.
And there's still precautions we need to take to keep the whole department working. Is that right, Tina?
Well, it was my understanding that everyone is back.
Okay.
So if you're hearing something different, I don't know that.
Okay. Okay.
And then, you know, I see it as an efficiency item for the department heads on the first item to be on here. That way, rather than be sitting in this room waiting on their turn,
Right.
they can keep working until they hear their time come up, and they can use this on their phone too. So I mean,
Right, okay. I'm just saying though, when they make a comment, that's when it becomes,
Yeah.
are they speaking for us, are they speaking for themselves, or what are they speaking for? That's what I'm saying. And you're on the clock, like Diane says, you're on the clock for working for us. And that becomes an issue sometimes, so, that's all I was going at, where.
so yeah, there's
They can have their own feelings. I mean, I work for a company, and I'm gonna tell you a lot when I'm on the clock. Maybe I may have a different opinion when I'm off the clock, but I'm working for the company.
Yeah, the dividing line,
Yeah.
is it job related or is it
Yeah.
or is it a
Mhm.
constituent concern?
Right, yeah.
Looks like Brad's deep in thought, looking up the legal opinion probably from the AG.
I got a question for Tina. Is there anything we need for this spark funding before the 1 o'clock meeting?
Well, I sent out the resource kit, that link.
Yeah.
I've sent that to everyone invited to the meeting. I don't know what else at this point. I just got an email that we have 2 more webinars this week on it, and that we will be receiving additional federal guidelines at those meetings, so.
Did everybody listen to that webinar? I mean,
It's an hour and a half.
it is a deeply involved, work-heavy project.
Really, I had just a quick meeting with Deidre, Randy Frank, and Janine, because those will be some of the key players at the county level to make sure that things are taken care of. I've also copied Brad on all that information that was sent to them in case he was available, but, you know, my understanding of it is that this first round that they're releasing directly to the counties is for public agencies, and that we are to offer that down to the intent from everything I've seen is that we invite the cities and schools and any municipalities that are public agencies to be part of it. And so it is primarily to reimburse any direct expenses that any of those governments have incurred because of COVID, and then also for future direct aid for expenses that are gonna be coming up as we move forward. Like for instance, schools. They've had some direct costs. They could be eligible for reimbursement on that, but they would have to provide all their documentation to us, and we actually have to verify it all and submit it and report it to the state from the county level. The same thing with the cities. So I think a lot of your smaller cities probably haven't had very many expenditures related to this, but your schools certainly have. And also public health, you know, public health can be involved in, like, because you're going to have nursing homes and hospitals and some of those that are not public agencies, so to speak, but they're still under the county's purview as public health, that we're going to have to make sure that we can provide services as they need it for COVID, ongoing COVID things. For instance, additional PPE or testing, that's going to be a big one. So, but the program itself, that we have some people that are going to be on primarily from schools. I don't know that we have very many from cities, but a couple cities will be on. And it's really just, I don't know if you want me to go through all of that information that was on that toolkit, but really the things we're going to need to know is who the county's contact person will be. That has to be submitted today. And then that doesn't necessarily mean that that has to be the person in charge of everything, but it needs to be the person that is going to get the communication out to all of, and if you want to develop a task force, you know, that'd be something to be thinking about. But we don't know everything we need to know about this yet, and we'll find out more this week.
More about building the group that we'll need to know.
Right, and then also it'd be good to know kind of, if you have the schools on and so forth, it would be a good idea to know what expenses have you had so far and what areas that have not been reimbursed by other sources, and what do you potentially see going forward as a concern, because that's what this money is for. And so it's for past expenses up to now, but also developing a plan of the rest of that money, how it's gonna be used moving forward. And those expenditures have to be put into a plan, which has to be submitted. So does that make sense? Does that help a little bit? So I don't really know what kind of information you want at this meeting, but
They really have not still given us enough on the acceptable expenditures, what will ultimately be considered and approved.
Well, it's like any government program, the PPP thing ended.
I was about to say that.
But we're still getting new rules and regulations. And we haven't been able to fill in a formula because they keep changing. You know,
Most
they had
of
one
it.
last week, now we got another one Monday.
Right.
And most of them opted to go from the 60 days to the 6 months if they were allowed to do it, because that was created midstream, because you just don't have any idea what you're still doing.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
even, we ended ours just because it was, money.
Yeah,
Yeah, you went on the 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But you only had like 3 days to figure out you wanted to do the 8
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah.
Otherwise, you got pushed off into the 24.
I do know one of Deidre's large concerns is making sure that we have some of this money set aside
Right.
for testing and testing supplies, and for individuals that may not have insurance, that
Yeah.
that we have some money set aside for testing for them so that they don't have to pay. So some of those are some of the major things that would be appropriate and advisable to include in this plan, because you don't want to pass all the money out to all the other agencies, and then the county still have to provide ongoing services that are gonna cost us a lot of money, because that's what this money is for. We don't wanna have, we need to make sure we're looking to the future and have a plan that's simple enough, workable, and reasonable, that we know that we're gonna be able to use all the money that we've been allocated.
Have they ever answered, Tina, whether if we then now say we also need PPE and those kinds of things, but we received some prior assistance, as I understand it, to acquire some of those things, whether we can still claim it on here?
We can, but it can't be double reimbursed.
That's the point.
So if, we're gonna need more.
Yeah.
And one of Randy's concerns was storage, so we may have to, as the county's plan, we may need to rent a small place to store these items. And I can attest to that as well, because for elections,
Yeah.
we've got so much stuff
Yeah.
that we are gonna have to use, and I have no place to put all this stuff. And we're gonna need more. So, that's just something to be thinking about.
Kind of dovetails with the comment that I got from a taxpayer. We pay, what is it, $250 a month to rent a spot over Bill's storage building in Hillsborough for EMS. And they said, how's come the EMS truck and trailer are sitting out here with weeds growing
Oh,
around?
emergency management.
Emergency
Right.
Not
management.
EMS.
Yeah.
I said, good question. So it's just a commission comment. Why are those
I
sitting out?
believe that they were actually in the storage building until we started utilizing some of that for this health emergency.
Yeah.
What, weren't they, Randy, over there?
They was over there, yeah. Yeah,
We
are
do keep
we-
them over there, we
and
just
so
have
we're-
them here right now.
I'm guessing it hadn't been used for a while though, if the
So-
weeds are growing up around it.
So what you're saying though is, I don't know that the commission was contacted that they took some out to put some emergency management stuff in. Is that what you're saying, Tina? That's the reason why the white truck's
I
not
don't
there.
know.
Okay, I don't
know
either.
the answer
I
to
know,
that.
Yeah.
I do
I think
know
we
that-
just direct the
that,
question over there.
They, St. Luke's gave them some more space, and I believe that we didn't charge them, it's just so that they had enough space for themselves, but Randy had an overflow of, I was over there, and
Why aren't we
there's a
using-
whole nother room starting to get filled up.
Why don't we use the fair building? We got one fair building that I know's got Zippo in it.
Well, if you guys wanna talk about that,
Yeah, I mean,
this
that's
afternoon,
another.
that's
yeah,
fine,
that's
but
another
that's
time.
something to think about. We may need to rent a facility for a short time to store some of these items. We have to receive them till when they're used.
Yeah.
We will need to consider that we will have to have a single audit for these funds. And that will probably cost $10,000 to $12,000. So we wanna make sure that we reserve that money in the county's portion to be able to cover that cost. Anytime you receive federal funds that are in excess, being spent out in excess of $750,000, the law requires a single audit of those. And the last time we had one, I think it was like $8,000 for the audit, and that was many years ago. So, just those kind of things we need to be thoughtful about including.
And I think we all received a deal from the city, Marion, Roger Holter, on our trucks, trash trucks and stuff.
You mean the dusty street?
On the routes?
Yeah, on the routes and stuff.
Yeah.
And Josh, I didn't even think about asking him about that. He was here.
They put down some millings on the road, the city did,
Yeah.
and Jocelyn went out and picked up the trash at same day they got that email.
Okay.
I mean,
And I asked Josh about it.
It's just the way it
He said he
is.
took care of it.
You said trash, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
said
what that
around,
was about.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
yeah, he went and picked up a whole pickup load. Had to be very windy that week, and people were stacking stuff up on that bin and not in the bin.
Actually, they should be a little more mindful on that and keep it maintained a lot better so that we don't have to get calls about it. Because I know sometimes when I go there, it's pretty trashy. It blows away, I mean, or falls off trucks or whatever. And that was always something that Bud kind of really kept up.
He was short 2 people for a couple of weeks too.
So,
Truck driver.
Yeah. Make a motion, we adjourn for lunch.
Make recess till 1.
Well, if you're going in just for a work session this afternoon, would you just adjourn now and then come back in as a work session at
Come
one?
Specifically identified,
And
yeah.
then I'll second Dave's motion.
Oh, look at each other here.
All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. So July 9 and 10. Yes. Another round. Wasn't on it. Oh.
Good email.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, it's a little after 1 o'clock, but a few of us still, I wasn't the last one in here, so I'm looking on the screen as people arrive. But I'd like to welcome everybody to our work session on our Spark. We need to basically come up with a contact person and a few backup contact people, and basically a task force to get the ball rolling on how these funds will be distributed and how they'll be basically appropriated to each entity. Anybody else that wants to add to any of this? If I'm skipping over some spots or moving too fast, just jump in. I don't know if we want to unmute everybody and everybody have a chance to speak, or
Well, I don't know, if you need an overview or if people on the call have had a chance to review any of the information.
okay.
And it would probably be also good to get some feedback from those that are on the call about if they know kind of what their expenses have already been and what their concerns are for future, if you have time for that, so.
Got all day.
Start at the top and go down the list.
I know that I ever been listening to that webinar? The,
You listen to it?
on top of having a task force and a contact person, they highly recommended that you hire additional staff to comply with the record keeping of this, which from what I got just out of that webinar, that's a full-time job. Even in Marion County, it's a full-time job. So I guess I'm asking, is it wise to do that, or is it wise to hire some outside firm to do that for us?
I guess I approached it from a little different perspective.
You
Just
need to talk up.
I guess I approached it from a different perspective on getting our contact person and our task force, and then kind of leaving it up to them to decide if, if it's above their capabilities, then they would tell us that. That would be more of an advisory to where to proceed, I guess.
but we have a very limited time to get it done, I know that. I'm just saying that because I was approached by Central Kansas Community Foundation. And the way I understand it, if I got that right, I think they're gonna administer Harvey County. I'd have to verify that with Linda Ogden. Lives here in Marion, she's on that board. But I did have a call from Becky Nickel, who is also part of that. She administers Peabody Foundation, which I guess is Tina and Randy probably know more about that. Peabody Foundation is administered through the Central Kansas Foundation. You know?
Yes.
Okay. But I haven't had a chance to have a conversation with her yet.
I've received several names of people that would be happy to administer.
Do you want to share who those are?
Huh? Oh, just, were they from Tabor? I didn't bring that paperwork.
Okay, so you're talking about I didn't know if you had others.
Oh, yeah.
There was an email that we got from Randy Frank that mentioned about maybe contacted Tabor potentially, and he was going to be, Mr. Johnson, I think, and he was going to be on the call.
Frank Johnson, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be great.
This is Tabor Colley.
Hey, Jules.
Instead of Frank Johnson being on, Rusty Allen and myself, Jules Glanzer, are on listening and willing to participate whatever way you'd like us to.
So I guess, does everybody have their own capability to unmute their mics and, okay. Does anybody at least further ahead on this game than me, I mean, got anything to add?
Well, I think there was some names that were mentioned as a possible task force.
No.
There is a comment on the chat box from Deidre, and she
Yes.
just says that she agrees that a point of contact and / administrator should be hired. Just a point of clarification, I believe the point of contact has to be submitted today. It does not have to be the same person as the administrator. This is just a point of contact for the county. So.
I would think it makes sense for the point of contact to be a county person. Just my thinking.
I think somebody needs to be a county person, so there's not bias on what area gets more precedence. But I also think that it needs to be an intern, also with a backup couple set, because there's a lot of things that are coming up on us right now with elections and just COVID itself and some other things that is so one person is gonna be a bit overwhelmed, and then they're gonna have some backups.
So do you have an individual to recommend?
I don't want to burden Tina with any more, but I would like to see Tina as the main interim point of contact, and Janine as a backup, Deidre as a backup.
No, I think Tina's overwhelmed the way it is.
Yeah.
Jonah, did you say?
I would be okay if she's a backup, but man, what she's got on the plate just coming up the next month.
If she could at least delegate to the others.
Well, as far as the point of contact, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem being that person. If Janine is okay with being it, I would more likely defer to her be the main backup, the main person, and me be a backup. But that is a separate issue from the task force and the actual administration of all of it.
Right.
It would just be to make sure that everybody is on the same page, that meetings are scheduled, and a lot of that kind of does fall into our purview already, so. And there is more information coming this week. We don't know, as far as what exact expenditures are gonna be allowed. And there was information indicating that we'll have a webinar on that this week, that we'll have more information and new guidelines coming out.
It's Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Brad has got his.
Yeah, I just muted him, but it's completely up to the board as far as if it's just being a contact person, and if we can change that at a later time if we need to, I'm okay with serving as that role. I know I cannot take on administrating all of it, and at least not unless at least one more person is hired, so.
Jonah, I would volunteer to be the contact person, just temporary, until we have a name for the state today.
Okay.
I mean, if you want somebody who
Mine.
is just, I mean, I don't have a stake in the game. I mean, don't have a department that wants to spend some money. Cause you said something, you wanted somebody on neutral ground.
Well, Janine was one of the ones that was mentioned for the backup.
Yeah.
And was talked about, would you be willing to be that contact person, Janine?
But she's got to get supplies too for her department. I mean, all department heads are gonna be submitting for things. Just a thought, you know. It's temporary.
Yeah, we could, I guess, either Tina or I could do it, and if it's too much, then we can.
Because Tina's got that other, $100,000 loan she's got to mess with now too.
That's the one that you hired Sked to administer?
Yeah.
That will touch all the departments also, well,
Yeah.
our two departments,
Yeah.
but that administration is being done by Sked.
You're out of it now, aren't you?
Getting there, yeah.
Never out of it.
Yeah.
So what other agencies would be available to us, similar to SCED, that we could pick somebody from there?
Well, it's all
Kent
kinds
was
of.
talking about one, Central.
Central Kansas Community Foundation, they contacted me, and it sounded like they were going to be somehow involved with Harvey County. And they have board members from Marion County on that. And I told them I'd like for her and the executive to get on the agenda to tell us what they could do for us.
Well, I think that would be a good start anyway.
But, there might be others.
Well, I think that if you're gonna hire someone to administer and their salary would be paid out of these funds, you would need to solicit, use an RFQ and RFP to get bids on that service.
Right, that's what I was.
You'd be required to do that.
My next question was gonna be, was what kind of fees would that be?
Well, yeah, we
I
don't
wondered-
know.
I wondered,
We don't know.
this is outside of commission, but it's a good point that, maybe it's time to really think about an administrator. That would be a neutral party.
This person has to come on board
I know.
in the next 2 weeks.
I know.
I
know that
At this point, it's gonna have to be somebody internal to at least start with, because we don't have enough time.
My point being is if there was one in place.
Well, could you handle that, Janine, and then ask a couple of your deputies in there to help you with that? You be the contact and they be support contact if you're not here? I mean,
Well, would you want to have it all in one department?
Yes.
I kinda thought of spreading it around between, it's like, and I'm not trying to be biased on anything, but people that are really good at keeping notes. That's why I picked out some of the names I did.
well, could Janine be the contact person? Maybe she'd have one from hers, and I don't know, where's Ashley at on all that, where would Ashley be in all this? Tina, would she have any time? Maybe she wouldn't have the time, I don't know.
Well, she could as deputy, but if I had a designated backup contact in my office for this particular program, it would probably be my accounts payable, my financial management person, which is Rhonda.
Okay.
And I've got her listening in on the meeting too,
And
just to.
I've no issue with that. she has a counting background.
Kathy's very efficient in there and takes good notes, so.
Right, I think regardless, Janine and I both have people that we could delegate to
Okay.
at least serve as contact, but we don't know what all that's gonna entail yet, you know?
Yeah.
And I think you do need a committee, you need to have some voices at the table from your municipalities that are underneath the county's level of government, for instance, particularly schools. Public schools, it will be very important to have them have a voice at the table. And
What about our hospital
yes,
administrators?
well, the hospital in Marion is a public hospital, and the hospital in Hillsborough is a private hospital, but hospitals also can fall under public health, and that is gonna be a big portion of this
Okay.
discussion. And so, I did invite, Deidre and I invited Jeremy Incy from the hospital here, but he wasn't gonna be available today. But you should have a few of those sorts of people probably on your task force, just to make
What-
sure that,
What do we foresee as I mean, we need 10 people, or we need 8 people? I mean, or is there any limitation there?
I think you just wanna make sure you get a broad coverage.
Well, because I mean, if you are, you're probably gonna have that many on it. You've got all the school districts.
Need the schools, hospitals, county and city, 4 different divisions.
So is this a crazy thing, like the administrators from the different cities? Like Roger and, I don't know the new one from Hillsborough, but is that an outrageous thing?
No, I think they need to be part of the task force.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the city.
The contact person needs to be somebody
I would
county.
think if a city has an administrator, that would be one of their roles anyway.
I don't know if the city would actually have to designate their person, you know, so that would be up to the city of who they want to serve on that, but that we should have city people on it, yes.
Okay.
And the administrators, or in areas that don't have an administrator, the mayor or a council person that they designate, or even if they designate their clerk, those kind of people should be involved also.
Okay.
Do we want someone from every city, or just from the, what do they call it, second-class cities?
Third class.
Are we talking about the contact person now or the task force?
Task force.
Okay, now we're on the task force,
Okay,
okay.
well, just to make it,
We got a contact person.
are we good with
Yes.
Janine? And then,
I nominate you
and then.
Yeah, and we can't take any
can't
actual
take any
official
action.
action today
Okay.
since it's a work session, but
Right.
you can
Janine and.
come to an agreement.
And then, do we need to have deputy, contact persons, interim, as
You have
Tina or.
Have her
or-
appoint somebody.
Or her appoint somebody, and Deidre, or have her appoint somebody.
Yeah, I think you could do it as Janine or her designee, myself as a backup or my designee, and Deidre as the next backup, or her designee, if she's okay with that.
We all okay with that? I'm just making sure nobody
Yeah.
doesn't, make sure everybody gets a chance to say.
I just,
Jonah?
this is Deidre.
Okay, Deidre.
And I think that a task force is really a good idea, but I think if you get the task force too large, it oftentimes is not really productive. I'm thinking if you had like a larger town and a smaller town represented, a representative from the school, one from the college, maybe one from, the hospital. And that's just kind of my thoughts on that.
Jonah, this is Jules.
Okay, Jules?
We would really appreciate it if there would be someone from Tabor College represented on the task force.
Okay, so we need one college rep.
Yep.
I don't know if we have,
the two largest school districts, Hillsborough and Marion.
So either Max or his appointee and Aaron and his appointee.
One thing to keep in mind, the first round funding is specified for public agencies. I don't know that Tabor is a public agency, but that doesn't mean they can't be on the board. And it doesn't mean the county cannot fund Tabor. It's just, it's meant for public agencies first. And it was my understanding from Nicole that the next round of funding is for private agencies.
But I think we have to consider our demographics, and I do understand the funding, but you know, when you get Tabor in the mix, that is a large population for Hillsborough.
Yep.
And you know, that can potentially affect the health. You know, the schools, the universities, as everybody knows, is very vital to the community, and it's important to use those kind of as the focus and to get our mitigation through them out there. Just a plug.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
And first we gotta find out what everybody spent.
Yeah, they're gonna have to start gathering either your budget shortfalls or whatever that could be, you know, sales tax.
Document. But that's neither here nor there, back to the task force.
Yeah, we gotta get the task force to develop all that. And I just don't know any input as far as who you think should be on that task force.
Well, I think the ones that have been brought up are key, you know, your schools, hospitals, probably at least somebody from a nursing home side of it. I mean, they've probably been impacted the most. Maybe we need more than one nursing home representative.
Yeah, I think a nursing home, a long-term care facility, and an assisted living facility should be present at the table. I also think probably like law enforcement and maybe EMS. And also the emergency manager.
What about mental health? Do we need to consider like Prairie View or?
I think we need it.
Yes, I think that is much needed.
But then, you know, there again, committee way too big to function. If you get, maybe get somebody from the hospital or long-term care, then they could talk to the other people under them. Get different, you know, one school guy could talk to all the schools. One hospital administrator could talk to both hospitals. Because, you know, to get 10 people together, making decisions.
Just to get them together.
It's not gonna happen.
Right.
You need 5 or 6 people on the core, and they need to go down to the subcommittees. Because this is gonna be a fast-moving machine. That's just my thoughts.
So you'd want to delegate the task force to develop subcommittees?
This is for advice to each individual industry or category. You know, you have one county person, but then they can have 2 or 3 department heads help them get their information together.
How many have you got written down there now?
Because you get 1, 2 people, it's hard to get decisions.
Just writing them all down so I can start lining them out.
You know, through emergency management, we were able to, like, we did conference calls for the hospitals every week. We did them for the long-term care facilities. We did them for the cities. So I think, I mean, emergency management is already in that role. And again, that's just a suggestion.
But I don't understand your suggestion, Deidre. What exactly are you suggesting?
If, like, as Dave said, one person from the county, and I think like Randy already has kind of the ICS or that structure already in place. So I'm just suggesting he knows that. So maybe representing the county aside from Janine, maybe he should be the one on that task force, because he seems to have ties to all the different entities in the county.
There's also a comment, is that okay if I read that? From Roger Holter, that says this committee will be responsible in future phases for more than medical response and first responders. What is the commission's vision of the responsibility of the group? Will they be approving direct expense reimbursements? Will they be communicating the acceptable lines of service and support?
We don't know. Haven't seen the rules yet. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I think that is right, but there would be some approval of expenses that this group would have to do, and then also planning for direct, you know, I believe it would be the group's responsibility to do a plan to, for the direct expenses later, the direct relief spending plan for future expenses. So it is true, it shouldn't be too large. I don't have a problem with Randy being one of the people on it as far as on the task force, but I think there also needs to be somebody with the financial department of the county involved in that, whether it's Janine's office or my office. So I think we would at least need those two, Randy and a financial person.
Make us a recommendation.
The working group is gonna have to be able to work together pretty quickly and efficiently.
Right. Yes. So, I know it's extensive right here, I've got 25 spots, so. And I know that's not gonna work.
No, we said 5.
Yeah, I don't know that's gonna work, but it's kinda like, we just come up on K-Camp today, you know? Just because we have a spot doesn't mean we put anybody in there.
Right.
So that's basically how I ironed it out for me. I guess I just started to put down nursing homes. Where are they? Hillsborough, Marion, Peabody. So
Gossel.
Gossel.
Is it Gossel?
Gossel. So each one of them would have a spot if they choose to nominate somebody to be there. And then for hospitals, we have Hillsborough, Marion. So there's 2 more. Schools, we have Hillsborough, Marion, Peabody Center.
Gossel.
Gossel.
That's your district.
I know. For colleges, we have Tabor.
John Fast will call him out.
Actually, we've got 2 colleges. If you want to get technical, we got Butler County too. If you're going to get technical, although their
Right, and
headquarters.
that was actually addressed in the webinar, that would be addressed through their home headquarter county.
Yeah, that'd be El Dorado.
Yeah.
So, and then as far as cities, you got Gossel, Hillsborough, Peabody, Marion, Florence, Tampa, Lincolnville, Durham, Lehigh, Ramona,
Lost Spring.
Lost Springs.
Did you say Burns?
Did not say Ramona.
You have Burns on there too?
Law enforcement, EMS, emergency management, fire, clerk, and treasurer. If they would choose to have a designee or not, I don't know if that's the best way to go about it, and then see if you get enough. I mean, not everybody's going to fill a spot.
Well, and I think Roger has a good point about what do you expect the group to do? Because basically, I think what needs to happen is we need everybody to have, from these types of agencies, to have input as far as what their needs are and what their spending has already been and what they foresee that are major concerns to be going forward as far as related to this pandemic, what expenses they may have coming up. And what the effects have been. But does that whole group need to be the one making the decisions on, like what you said, Dave? You know, a core group out of those would be maybe the ones that would be.
Need 6 or 7 spokesmen to come together and talk to these 25 people to get their information.
Because I think that you will maybe want someone, this, like at the state level, they have a steering committee, and then they have the executive board, or the task force.
Yeah.
You need
So,
executive board.
right, so out of those people that have input and can give the information, you would also need a smaller group potentially to look at doing an RFP for someone to administer if we do that, or looking at hiring the person to do the actual day-to-day work.
So would it
Approving the expenses in the plan.
Would it be wrong then, I guess, to have each one of these entities have an appointee or not? And then from those appointees, they determine out of that group who's gonna be your five on the going forward.
You got 10 days to do this.
Is that their responsibility or is that ours?
I think, Jonah, you need to, we're on a time crunch. So we gotta appoint 6 or 7 people from different, I don't wanna call them industries or groups. All the cities should have one person, the hospitals one, like that list I made, the county 1 and 2. It's gonna be quick and dirty. We can't move like the government, we gotta move like the business now. You gotta make a decision today, what you're gonna do. I hate to be forceful, but.
Well, no,
we
get it.
We gotta move.
Yeah. But you've got 8 here.
8 what?
8.
You need to appoint 6 or 8 people.
Right.
Look at that list up on the wall, who's signed up, and you appoint them, and we'll go on from there.
Oh, I'm just saying, 8 is an even number. 8's a problem.
We could do 7 then.
Yeah.
I don't know.
7 or 9.
7 or 9,
yeah.
But you don't get too many more than that, because then you won't ever get a decision. You get more than 3 people on a committee, you can't ever get a decision.
What's Roger saying again, Tina?
Now, the new comment is, if you assign the at-large members from the state's focus areas, which are listed in this, then they can establish the network for solicitation of information, so 2 county financial people, Randy, 1 from health, connectivity, economic development, and education, 7 committee members.
That's what the state recommended?
Well, they have certain areas
Okay.
that they are focusing on, which are in this information that was sent out. And
The school solve.
No,
No, he didn't.
education is
Oh, didn't,
here,
okay.
so, you know, have one from each of those areas. Is the situation.
If I may, if you go to page 28 and 29 of the deck, it gives you the urgency that we're facing, and it also gives you the 4 areas and the state focus. If you have members of your committee assigned to each area, they will form the informal or formal network for their industry. And then you have a body of just 7 people which can efficiently administer the financial responsibilities of the county. You'd have Randy Frank representing all of the first responders, emergency medical, and then you have your 4 industries to be able to serve as the decision makers moving forward. Thank you for your time.
I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you guys wanna make that the baseline?
And a comment from Deidre, I would be willing to be on as I have been working with the hospitals and the LTCF.
Long-term care facilities.
She would have
And
a lot of contact.
she needs to be on.
Yes, definitely.
2-county financial.
So that could be Janine and myself.
Okay. Randy?
So you got 4 now?
One from health, which is Deidre.
And then the area of connectivity, economic development, and education.
Good. Development, education.
Are you wanting a name from Tabor, Jonah?
Yeah, so that's what I was about to do is on these areas, who's willing to be on that board? So the schools, and then we'll have to decide who's willing, and then draw one of those names.
Right, and those decisions will have to be made in an official, legally called meeting, not in a work session. But definitely, we can see who's willing out of the
So like
education.
economic development, Hillsborough has a person in that position, don't they?
Yeah, Anthony leaves on here, you know,
Good.
and I don't know if Randy's on,
What happened to him?
but
Oh, I guess he didn't want to come.
we could,
Right.
I guess I'm more looking for who's volunteering for that spot, and then we'll choose from those names. How's that? Are we all kinda, well, we can't officially choose, but at least we can have the names.
Or just take the names down.
Yeah.
They want them to contact you, to contact Tina.
Well, do we have them on?
We got them on, so.
Let's just ask them.
So anybody from economic development that's on, willing to throw their name in the hat.
Matt Stiles from Hillsborough, and we'll send somebody on there for either Anthony or myself who can represent economic development from the Hillsborough side.
Yeah.
Randy Collett is traveling today. That's the only reason he could not jump on the call. I did talk to him. He's been working with Commerce and is willing to serve on this.
Okay, so Hillsborough and Marion are willing on the eco development.
For education, we'd put Rusty Allen on from Tabor.
Okay. Is there any other education?
This is Max at Hillsborough. I think this is kind of an opinion of mine. I think if you could ask one of any of the superintendents, I think we'll all be willing to represent each other on this, so, I don't know who that would be, but, I would be willing, but I'm sure Aaron would be too, and any of the other ones.
And Aaron did make a comment that he is willing, and I was just gonna suggest that it's good to have someone from Tabor, but perhaps we should have, education as a big piece of
Should
this.
have one from
I
public.
think we should have one from public school also.
Especially since they're a levy.
Right. If the board is okay with that.
Yeah. I would suggest Aaron from Marion.
I could send something out to all of the superintendents and see how many of them are willing. And you also wanna keep in mind, we don't wanna have necessarily, I mean, you might wanna be aware of logistics and locations of, like, if you have someone serving from City of Hillsborough for economic development, perhaps you would want another city to be in, you know, for something else, or
Spread it
from a
out
different
over the
area.
county.
Yeah.
Where they can all collaborate, but we're not like relying on one community's,
For
for
ideas.
everything.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Spread the wealth.
Well, you're bringing other perspectives in along with that specialization.
And I do know that the superintendents are very good at communicating together and,
So they can get together and create a nominee for us.
I would think that would work just fine. We meet quite often, so I think Aaron would be a good representative.
Okay. You say Aaron?
yeah, he said,
Wow. That changes you.
Okay.
But you're still gonna send something out, right? To the
yes,
other
I can do
schools?
that to all of them.
These are just suggestions.
And
I
we're
got
still
it. I got it.
connectivity.
Did we include mental health?
I think that is under health at this point. So I think that would be,
Hospitals and Prairie View would be together.
right, so that would be part of what Deidre could draw from with her
Okay.
discussions.
Okay, then connectivity was the last one that, if we're going by Roger's, recommendations, there's still a connectivity. Is there anybody?
Would you want to think about an IT person in general? Or would you, like from one of these agencies? Or would you want to look at,
What do you guys think? I don't know, I know that, I don't know, Lloyd needs the extra stress, but he tends to be pretty well interconnected with everywhere.
You need
Lloyd
IT
is-
because all the extra securities that they had to go through for
and,
this.
well, just the technology? That's just one of the areas of focus of the state. And so
Yeah, I
that
would-
is something that all of our agencies have had to deal with pretty extensively.
And fight it all the time.
What's that?
And try to upgrade all the time, so.
Might be appropriate too.
I don't know if I didn't hear nobody throwing out a name for connectivity, so I just thought maybe Lloyd would be one, but I guess you can always decline.
Okay, so here is a couple of other comments, if it's okay. Deidre has asked, what about a faith-based organization? Roger Holter says that he could volunteer if needed. He has contacts with all IT providers in the county, and Deidre made a comment that Lloyd would be great. So,
So
those are-
Roger volunteered for the IT.
I-
Roger volunteered for the IT.
Well, sort of.
That's-
It was to communicate with the IT.
I kinda like that idea, since he's volunteering.
Like Tina said, we can't do anything without, we have to wait to take
I
official
thought you
action.
were writing down the names of the
I'm-
suggestions.
I'm writing down suggestions, but we're gonna have to wait till we can, we're in a work session, so we can't.
No, I know
Okay.
that. I was just wanting to know if you had Roger's name down.
Faith-based.
Yeah, I got
That's what I
Roger's.
was asking.
I got Roger's deal right here, so.
Okay.
Faith-based. That's gonna add to the number, but that probably wouldn't hurt, because
Well, you've got,
we've got 8 now.
you've got ministerial associations in, I don't know, does Peabody have ministerial associations?
Yes.
So you got
Orange
three
have-
communities
Orange have
with,
one here too.
right, 3 communities with ministerial association.
Ministerial alliance.
Ministerial alliance, that's what I was looking for, not association.
I don't know if there'd be anybody, I don't know if anybody'd be on here. Other than Jules,
I think we did have several churches that did have PPP loans.
okay.
So maybe someone from one of those churches that took out a PPP loan might be interested.
That would offset our number to 9, which would.
You're at 9?
Yeah, a faith-based side person or something else.
Go back down to 7. Go back it down to 7.
So what does the board want? Do you want to add a faith-based person to be, like, organization representative to be on this? Or do you want to?
Or we could put eco development, put one from each city. Marion and Hillsborough, and then that would make it odd back out. I'm just throwing out a suggestion.
Do we need 2 in the same?
Well, we already made it, what? We already added an extra school, right? Because of
So that put us,
public,
that put us to 8.
right.
But are we looking at the region stuff, you getting?
Yeah, I know. It's,
So if you did a faith-based, that would be 9.
yeah.
Right.
And then just do one economic development from one city or the other. And I'm okay with that. I'm just trying to make an odd number.
Another comment from Deidre, emergency management and health department have a group of emails and could shoot out something to them to throw their names in for the faith-based.
Okay.
And I was gonna mention that too, that was developed during this process, so,
Okay.
the COVID situation.
That would be good.
Yeah, then that would do it.
Roger said that the faith-based community could actually engage with the connectivity and EcoDevo for their needs related to the broadcasting of services and community support, food banks, etc. So
That's
just
true.
basically saying that they would be able to fall in with one of those other categories rather than having their own representation. So I think you could do it either way.
Okay.
So it, on the next, right after that, it does tell us immediate next steps, and so these are really the things we need to be considering. Review the content and forms, which that was sent out. We've looked at those that you weren't on that call. If you haven't had a chance to look at the webinar, I would suggest trying to do that, just to be familiar with it. We talked about the primary point of contact needing to be submitted by today. So and then the next steps would be collect reimbursements for county and public educational municipal level expenses, consider staffing needs, which we've talked about, the potential that we need to hire someone to take care of the reporting portion, or to contract that out with an agency. Develop a local process to consider proposals for new programs from cities, businesses, etc. That's kind of this process of the task force that you're working on. And then, basically they're saying that more information is coming out every week. We did receive notice of 2 webinars this week, which, on July 9th, it will be a finance webinar to provide an in-depth walk through the reimbursement and reporting template. Cover newly released federal reporting requirements, which we may be getting more and more of those probably if it's anything like the other programs. Additional federal guidance on expenditures and the process for submitting and receiving feedback on reports. Because we'll have to submit the reports, and our reports will have to include all of the reporting from the agencies underneath us and their documentation. And then we have to submit that for approval at the state level. So they're gonna review it to make sure everything that we've submitted complies with the rules. And then there's another webinar on July 10th, which will provide an overview of the direct aid spending plan. And that template, they'll have a template apparently, which we should get this week, and with more ideas. And so that would be so the first one's based on expenses we've already incurred through all these agencies. The next webinar then is about developing your plan for the direct aid moving forward.
So are we okay to hold off on, or do we need to have a special meeting in order to take official action on this right here?
Well, I think that we have the boards, I think maybe just reiterate what your thoughts are on the contact person, just to make sure we have that in place, because that will be submitted right after the meeting. And then taking official action for that appointment on Monday at an official meeting. And at that meeting, I think you could appoint your task force potentially. Through the official.
When do we do the resolution?
The resolution is due on Monday, so we would need to also do that resolution in your regular meeting on Monday.
Can we take care of all that on Monday?
Except for, we gotta designate, I think we're all in agreement on.
Do that today.
We have to take an official action on it.
You cannot take an official action today, but just an agreement is fine.
Janine is our contact, or her appointee, and Gina and her appointee is backup, and Deidre or her appointee is backup contact. Everybody still okay with that one? Yeah. Okay.
Now, Randy Frank is saying if you wait until Monday, you take a week away from the committee working on the project. So if you decide you don't, of course, we do have those 2 webinars this week, which will get more information. So you could do a special meeting if you want to. But if we have a pretty good idea of the groups that we want to serve on the committee, and we could give them a little bit of time to get their nominee together, or taking that official action at either a special meeting later this week or on Monday.
Better if we could wait till Monday, because it's gonna take a little time on some of the others' part.
Yeah, but if you got that group established, then they can pay attention to the webinars too.
Yeah.
I mean,
The webinars are recorded so you can watch them the next day too.
I don't have a problem with just giving Tuesday for some talk to get done, and maybe somebody irons it down to one person as it is, and then having Wednesday having a quick meeting just to lock it down. I don't know.
I may have we got several things going on this week.
We can do it.
I mean,
We can do it virtually.
I could call in.
Virtually.
if I had to.
What's Tina think?
Yeah.
Is that too quick?
As you said earlier,
I know.
it's gonna have to move fast.
Yes.
So,
This fast, too fast.
And maybe,
I mean, I think better Thursday or Friday later in the week. If you're gonna do it this week, or Monday.
well, if you do it on Friday, is that gonna give anybody any time to work on
Right.
anything before Monday? So,
wait till Monday, but we can't.
Anybody got any?
You could do a potential slate of persons that, you know, that you would agree should be the group. Could confirm or take the official action at a meeting later this week or Monday. But it would, you know, if you kind of have it all laid out already, which I just know that we are not supposed to take any official action at this meeting because it's a work session. So I don't want you to.
And how quick, if we hired somebody to administer, I mean, we'll have to do that pretty quickly too. I mean, there's no time hardly any time to advertise for it.
Right. Or come up with an RFP.
I mean,
We don't know what it is.
being this foundation did make contact, it'd be nice to at least hear from them.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do the RFP. I mean, that's not a problem. The task force can actually, by that time, they can hear it just as they're hitting the ground running.
So should we call that Central Kansas Foundation in to hear from them?
I don't have any problem with it.
Wouldn't hurt to make a phone call.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to hear from them at all.
What did that Becky say?
I just, this is a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tornado.
Oh,
yeah.
And somebody's gonna have to keep up with the tornado to see what's going on. That's the way it sounds.
Well, that's just it. We don't have the staff for it right now.
Yeah.
With everything else that's going on.
Correct. Yep, Central Kansas does, so if they're doing one other one already, why?
Well, we could put, Deidre, Brandy, Janine, and I, if we could get a slate of candidates from each of those areas that you have designated.
So,
As soon as we could get a slate of candidates together, perhaps if you would want to call a special meeting, then we could present that for approval. And then you could do it at that meeting. Would that work?
If we get
So you call
volunteers
Central
real
Kansas?
quickly.
so
Are you gonna call that organization that Mr. Becker said to see that?
Central Kansas,
Kansas,
yeah.
Well, I think that's a good idea, but also if you are gonna contract out instead of hiring someone to do the administration or the paperwork portion, you're gonna have to get proposals from multiple groups. And do you really want to take the time or need to take the time to hear from a group before, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
wonder
wanna-
how many out there will actually be doing this. I'm sure there probably is more than
I guess
in this area.
she's getting at is if we get a request for proposal from one, we need to get it from others, and then that starts eating up our time block.
To hear from them all, where if we just do it as a written, and then they can respond with a proposal, and then you can review them, and,
Okay.
you know, I'm not saying don't bring them in, but then you can bring in multiple and listen to a whole bunch of them when really,
Take a week to do that.
yeah,
We've got days.
yeah. But we can definitely, if you have the contact information for me,
I guess
then we can
Becky
make sure
Nickel,
that,
do you know her?
I'm sorry,
Becky Nickel?
I've been in contact with
Yeah,
them before.
she said she represented Peabody Foundation through the Central Kansas. Or Linda Ogden, she's on the board.
Well, then you also have lots of different financial groups that are doing this kind of service, like, potentially audit firms are doing it, there's quite a few.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know who
Yeah, I
all they
didn't know.
are, or what contact information they would have for us to be able
If it had
to
to be through,
electronically
if it
send
had, I
out.
didn't know if it had to be through a for-profit, non-profit, whatever. If that made any difference.
Wouldn't think so if you're contracting out with someone.
Because our accountant's doing it for some other people. He was, so
know it's important because we need the staffing, but also, regardless, if you do contract that out, they're still gonna need county staff to be able to provide them all the
Right.
information that they need.
Right.
And so, if there's still gonna be county time invested in that, and
And I'm sorry, we want somebody that cares about our county.
so,
But
I
aren't
don't
you
know
gonna
how
have to have
much-
somebody with a lot of knowledge, a lot of accounting knowledge to do it?
well, and,
And I guess where there is some accounting people, firms, whatever, within the county.
well, we had an offer too from Tabor as far as maybe able to, within the group of people to be able to assist with parts of that. And I don't know exactly what that might look like, but.
Sounds like a headache to me.
I didn't mean to confuse things there, but.
No, it's fine.
But I do know that when you're receiving federal funding like this, they do want to know that you follow bid processes for those things that, you know, when you hire someone to do a job, you need to follow proper procedures, and this is no different if you do go outside the county.
So, we've got a few recommendations and a few names listed here. And if there's any more that pop up, you know, I would encourage everybody that's on the meeting to present some names for which category they are, so we can make a choice. And I'm just gonna say, I think we need a special meeting on Wednesday morning. That gives them a day tomorrow to discuss and put through some more names. If not, we need to make a choice on the names we got.
And that's just people that want to be point of contact.
To be on the task force.
I'll be on the task force, okay.
Our point of contact has been established.
Yeah.
And our point of contact and the backup contacts are all part of the task force in my mind. We can't officially make that happen yet, but, so. Does anybody see any problems with that? I mean, I know there's gonna be problems no matter we wait till Monday or we wait till Friday, we do it Wednesday, nothing's gonna be right. But I think, I mean,
Who's doing all that? Tina?
Who's doing what?
All these names is coming back to us to.
Well, I was just mentioning that Janine, Deidre, Randy, Frank, and myself could probably get.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, and if people wanna send me an email, I'll bring it to the rest of you, on Wednesday. If they wanna send you an email, I hopefully likewise.
Just forward them on after you get them.
Yeah, well, I'm not,
Can't forward.
I'm not going to. I'll bring them in a public setting and open it up for everybody.
I'm game with that.
You know, it's.
I have no problem with it.
Okay. Is there any, I'm sure the next day we'll hear.
I think you have most of it settled, because you've got your Tabor representative, you have a volunteer from the school districts, but I will still send that out, and if they decide that, as within the group of superintendents, that they want to have a different representative, then they can let us know. You've got your health, emergency management, and finance, and really the only other questions were the connectivity, the faith-based right? And economic development. To just kind of finalize those a little bit, so.
Okay. What time you gonna have a meeting, Lindsay?
What time works?
Name it.
I'll do it at 9 o'clock. It doesn't.
How about 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock?
Sounds good.
That rough?
Do you mind if I get my calendar?
I don't mind at all.
I'm not supposed to be here on Wednesday because I have some appointments out of town.
You do it Thursday instead? Do we need to move it to Thursday then?
Well,
Wait, no.
it's, yeah. I'm just trying to decide if I'm not gonna be here and if I need to have my deputy set things up. 8 might be a bit of a stretch for her to be able to get that accomplished. But I might be able to do 8 o'clock if it's not a long meeting.
Or move it to Thursday, one of the two.
Well, if we have all the names, it'll take 10 minutes, should it?
Yeah, unless we really just have a disagreement on this one or that one. It shouldn't be very long at all. What time did you say we work?
Well, 8 o'clock would work probably, as long as it's not a long meeting. I can come here first and then go do.
Yeah, 'cause the only ones that we really don't, I think we're all pretty well in agreement, but just the names that get brought up between now and then are the only ones that we're not sure of.
Okay, so we'll do a Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the morning. I will do it remotely, for those of you that can't be here. Or you can call on the phone, however. So is that'll give us a chance to communicate, kind of set a slate of candidates for official approval, is that okay?
Can I add just one more name to that list that was sent to me as a suggestion? Marcy, Marcy, yeah.
Yeah, and that would be Randy's designee.
Yes, it would be.
So she would be covered under emergency management.
Okay. I just thought, because I think she knows the process and
Right,
system
yeah,
and stuff.
so, yeah.
Did I miss it? Did we already have her down or just under Randy?
Be under
Yeah,
Randy.
it'd be under Randy, and it'd be no different than what I think that's where she was going with it. Tina or her appointee, Janine or her appointee, Randy or his appointee. Is there anything else we need to iron out before, or at least get the ball rolling before Wednesday, so we can have more flood of information hit us? I'm not seeing anybody in the chat. I've seen a few people leave, so this is the work session, so I guess we're good enough to just adjourn.
Here, right?
Yep. I guess I'll call it adjourn.
Okay, so the work session is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up.